Dun 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 dun! Welcome to Crypto Night in Canada. You know who I feel like? I feel like Kermit the Frog. Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here, and you're the guys that sit up in the balcony making the faces and
Oh, good. I
heckling
thought
the
you were
whole
going to
thing.
represent Lincoln or something there. I don't
No,
know.
no, no, no. Welcome to Crypto Night in Canada, everybody. We got Candace in the house. How are you, Candace?
Feeling like Fozzie Bear.
See, that's good. You could be Fozzie Bear. That would be a great character for you. I love that. And we've got our special friend Dave Cowan in the house tonight. David, how are you?
I'm great, thank you for asking. How have you guys been?
Good. Who do you want to be? What character on the Muppets do you want to be?
Really?
Oh, geez, that's a
Listen.
tough one. I'm gonna say Elmo. He's the best. Yeah.
Elmo's pretty cute, but he's sort of Sesame Street. What about Scooter?
Oh, right, Mupp. Geez, I haven't thought about this in like 25
No,
years.
no. Ken's got to be Scooter for the actual connection.
No.
Muppets.
No, Ken's that gray eagle guy because he
No,
looks
she's
like that
totally
gray
missed
eagle
it.
guy.
Scooters
Is
when God
the
scoots and
is
God
the chef one of the chef? Is he a Muppet?
He is the Swedish
He is.
chef.
Yeah.
The Swedish
The
chef.
Swedish
There we go.
chef.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I'll do that.
Yeah, see, we're trying to move away from the polka dot door because we were on that kick for a while, so we're now got to move ourselves over to another kids show. And anyways, I know that there's a whole pile of people in the comments. I see the Canadian Bitcoiners are here. I'm sure that's Len. And Len, I still have my hat. It's in the closet. I can go get it because I'm really hoping that Bitcoin goes to 100,000. That hat has actually had more longevity to it than I expected. Anyways, we see a whole pile of people. Marie Claude is in the house. Panda's here. Patricia. Ken's coming. I know he's coming shortly. Ram Rider's here.
He was dealing with crap, get it?
Oh, geez.
No.
Why do you do that for poor Ken?
I'm sorry.
And I think you've caused a little bit of controversy with your.
Holy shit, I've been hacked. Not.
That's a bad word.
Hey, no. Ascendex got hacked for 75 million, right? Ascendex just happens to be where I think a lot of us hold our OMI.
Yes.
So I saw that come out and I went, oh, holy shit. Because I've got a fair amount in there and I've got some family members in there and I know that some of the community's in there and that kind of spawned me on and I went, uh-oh, is this the beginning of hack this, hack that? And, so I remembered our friend David Cowan from a couple of months ago came on and did this great sort of information about ArkPlate Vault. So I asked him to come back on, and he's got some different things he's going to go over tonight, a review of things. But I think that I personally am seeing, and I know we all are hearing that things are getting hacked, and I think
it was worth reviewing.
Right.
So
without further ado, let's all have a tap on the space bar for David Cowan.
How's it going, guys? So, my name is David Cowan. I'm the CEO of ArkPlate. I manufacture, design cold wallets used to store your seed phrases that are used to access cryptocurrency wallets. So Bitmart was also mentioned in the comments there as being a recent hack, and I can't remember exactly how much it was. It was somewhere in the realm of 200 million US dollars was hacked recently. So that's really what spawned this, just to try and go over a review for not just new cryptocurrency users, but also experienced ones. It's good to be reminded of this type of thing as markets go up and down. We get distracted with values and taking profits rather than the security of our digital assets. So I've got a couple things lined up. The first thing that we're going to start off with is actually going over good practices and some knowledge about security of digital assets, cryptocurrency, a little bit about encryption standards, and what you can do to try and keep yourself safe. I've also got some of my own products, which I'll show off, just kind of showing you what I'm going to be up to for the 2022 year. And then I've also got some discussion on the securities topic, which we're currently kind of starting to see poke its ugly head again. So it's kind of good for everybody to be aware of what's going on with securities. And while I'm not a financial professional, a lot of definitions are out there, and we can all go over our portfolios to kind of see what might fall into securities status and why we really need to be aware of what's going on in that sector rather than just waiting for a result. So I will share my screen here, and I apologize, this is just kind of boring PowerPoint, slides, but it is what it is. So we're going to start off here. We always hear the term, not your keys, not your crypto. And so that's going to be the title of this one here, Understanding Cryptocurrency Wallet Encryption and Secure Storage Habits. So again, just to reiterate, I'm not a qualified financial professional, and this should be not considered financial advice in any form or capacity. So starting off, what is a cryptocurrency wallet? There are many different definitions, and people use this term very interchangeably for many different things. But at its core, a cryptocurrency wallet is really the seed phrase or the words or numbers or encryption file that you might have that are used to recover any of the accounts associated with your cryptocurrencies. So seed phrase is the standard term for this and is the password to access your accounts, and there's some other terms there for them. Hang on, what is happening here? Sorry, I'm trying to get here. There we go. Okay, so common wallet and seed phrase formats. The two most common used in the industry are the 12 or 24 words that are randomly generated and assigned to a user when a request to create a wallet is initiated. Now, you can have a Trezor, a Ledger, a Decent. You could use your phone's Atomic wallet or Trust wallet, any number of different wallets, whether it's on a phone, a dedicated device, a computer. They all use these standard formats, and this particular format is known as the BIP39 word format. The BIP39 format is a universal, globally recognized and standardized set of 2048 predefined English words that will never change. So you're always going to see this same set of 2048 words. They're published on the internet in many places, and you can look them up. So the BIP39 format of 12 and 24 words directly corresponds to a known level of encryption. So the 12-word phrase is equivalent to 128-bit encryption, and the 24-word phrase is equivalent to 256-bit encryption. So not many people know much about encryption, so we're going to touch on this very quickly in a very broad sense. This is not its full definition. You see these terms everywhere, but nobody really understands what they mean. So for today's example, encryption is defined as being a known number of possible combinations that would result in a hacker successfully guessing a user's seed phrase in a brute force guess attack. So this is the same as guessing your password for pretty much everything, whether that's your bank card PIN that's 4 numbers long, email password, or guessing your seed phrase. So this particular number, the 128,256, are known as a log-based 2 calculation. And what that means is that you take 2 and multiply itself by itself 128 times over. 2 times 2 times 2, 128 times. And that number of possible combinations is what this actually defines it as. So 3.4 times 10 to the power of 38 possible password combinations is what people would have to go through to guess a single correct answer. And you can see the length of that first number. It's a huge number. When you go to 256-bit encryption, the number is much larger, 1.15 times 10 to the power of 77 possible combinations, and it is absolutely gigantic. So when we're talking encryption, if you're trying to guess a password, guess someone's seed phrase, you have a 1 in that many chance of guessing it right on any given attempt. So this level of encryption is huge. And when it comes to being hacked, and how we're relating this to today's topic really is custodying your own cryptocurrencies in whatever wallet you so choose, whether that's a Trezor, Ledger, Atomic, Trust. It gives you a huge amount of security and very little chance of somebody ever guessing that, fundamentally impossible in most cases, versus exchanges getting hacked, where you get everybody under the sun is trying to go after a single source to get into that, versus what are the chances that they're going to get into your wallet with a 1 in whatever that number is odds. It's just not going to happen. So it's far more secure to custody and hold your own crypto in any form of personal wallet rather than an exchange that can be, hacked, as we've seen in the past couple weeks. So encryption using seed phrases, because we know that a seed phrase is of a known length, 12 or 24 words in most cases, and those words never change, we can predefine them as being 2048 potential seed words to choose from for any given seed phrase. And when we actually extract this, for every word you guess, you have 2048 potential options, and you multiply that 2048 by itself, in this case 12 times over, to get the possible number of combinations to be able to guess that seed phrase. And in this case, it's a little bit larger than a standard 128-bit encryption, 5.4 times 10 to the power of 39, rather than 10 to the power of 37. So it is, in the case of a 12-word wallet, a 128-bit encryption. So putting these numbers into perspective, you can see the first there for a 12-word wallet, it's a 1 in that many odds. 24-word wallet, there's 1 in that many odds. And since the Big Bang happened approximately 13.8 billion years ago, there have been this many seconds. So you can see just how insanely large that number is compared to time itself. So again, custodying your own crypto in some form of wallet using a seed phrase will always be more secure than keeping it on some form of exchange or custodial service, or even with a bank down the road. So how long is it to guess a seed phrase? If you had 1 trillion quantum computers, each of which is making its own 100 billion unique guesses, attempts to access your wallet every single second, it would take 1.7 billion years to guess any given 12-word seed phrase. So fundamentally impossible to break into a private wallet using seed phrases.
Wow, that's crazy.
So why your seed phrase is so important? There are so many potential combinations of seed phrases that they're considered, again, fundamentally impossible to guess or recover once they are lost, stolen, or accidentally destroyed. And that's really where I come in with cold wallets. Anyone in possession of your seed phrase has full access to any of the funds contained within that seed phrase or wallet. You're often only given one chance to record your seed phrase. There are exceptions. Atomic Wallet allows you to view it after the fact, which is very insecure. If you do not record this seed phrase and lose access to the interface that was used to create the seed phrase, you will permanently lose any funds that you have stored within that wallet. So say if you bought a ledger or a Trezor and you forget to write down that 12-word phrase and you deposit $1 million into that device and it gets destroyed or shocked or whatever means, if you don't have those words to get back into that wallet, you will lose that forever. There is no way you could possibly ever guess that password ever again. So it's very important to treat your seed words, whether that's 12, 24 words, as the most important part of crypto itself. Nothing else matters if you do not have those words. So how to protect yourself and your seed phrase and wallet. Rule number 1 is never give out your seed phrase to anyone. There are no exceptions to this rule, bar none, period, done, and finished, no exceptions ever. There are a lot of scams on Twitter and Facebook. If you post about some kind of problem or some kind of complaint about your Atomic Wallet not working, the first thing that's going to happen is someone is going to post to you and say, hey, I can help you fix that. All you need to do is go to this website and give me your seed phrase, and I'll get in and I'll help you fix it because I'm a good guy. Or they're impersonating some kind of support representative for that company and, again, trying to get your seed phrase. There is, again, no exceptions to the rule of giving out that seed phrase to anyone. Anyone who has that seed phrase can steal your crypto. So no company owners, no support representatives, no helpful people down the street. If you give these words out, you will lose everything in your wallet, and there are no exceptions ever for the remainder of time. No one needs your phrase except for you, okay? Rule number 2, never record your seed phrase on any form of digital device or service such as a computer, cell phone, email, or cloud storage. All of these types of things can be hacked, even if they're offline and disconnected from the internet. If somebody were knowledgeable enough, they could activate it remotely. Again, depending on the circumstance, not in every case, but generally storing it on any kind of digital device, even things like USB sticks and SD cards in some form of Word file. You had to type that in at some point on your computer. And if something like a keylogger was running on your computer, somebody could easily pull up those records and record your words. Rule number 3, if you do not have a permanent means of recording your seed phrase, like a fireproof, waterproof, and rust-proof ArkPlate, ensure that you keep duplicate paper copies of your seed phrase in at least 2 secure and separate geographical locations. So again, one in your home that is easy for you to access, or hidden but easier for you to get access to, as well as a separate location. Having a copy in your bedroom and in your living room is no good to you if your house burns down. They're both going to get destroyed in that fire. So you want them in two physical places. Same thing with a flood or tornado. They're still going to affect the same physical location, even if you try to separate them in, say, a fireproof safe or into a desk drawer. You don't want that. You want one at your house and one at your parents' or your grandparents' house or your most trusted friend in the whole world. But even then, that is kind of sketchy. It is only the most trustworthy people in your life you would ever want to custody that. The second option, again, if you're not getting something like an ArkPlate, is to seal it in a couple Ziploc bags and maybe a hard plastic Rubbermaid container, like a little lunch sandwich container, and bury that somewhere. Again, in a far enough away place from your actual main residence or wherever you store your first copy, so that again, in the event of a tornado or a flood, which might destroy the ground and your house at the same time, just because they happen to be in the same area. So you want to make sure they are separate if you're not having it on some form of truly permanent surface. Rule number 4 is never tell any untrusted parties the location of your seed phrase. Again, anyone who has access to your seed phrase has access to anything that is stored within that wallet. So you want to keep this very closely guarded, and again, only who you would consider the most trusted person in your life is the person who would know where that is, and normally this is for the event that you pass away. If your family does not have access to your seed phrase, they're not going to be able to recover whatever is in your wallet. So you want to make sure that you have some way of passing this on to friends or family or whomever you want to give your inheritance to. If they don't have those words, they're never going to get it. Seed phrase storage and interfaces. So there are 3 primary wallet interfaces. Again, wallet is an interchangeable term and really means your seed phrase, but an interface to interact with your seed phrase, there are 3 main types. First is being a hot software wallet, which is the least secure. The second is a hardware wallet, which is more secure. And then the third is a cold wallet, which is most secure. So first, the hot wallet, the least secure option. Examples would be your phone and computer wallet software apps, such as Trust Wallet, Atomic Wallet, MetaMask. There are many out there, regardless of reputation of that particular brand, which is your own risk. In addition to this, this is also considered things like exchanges that get hacked. And this is why we see them getting hacked. They're the least secure way of dealing with this because they need constant access to the funds. So hot wallets, live wallets, software wallets, app wallets, all of these types of things that you're essentially connected to the internet all the time on the device, and all you need is your favorite password to get into the wallet. It is the least secure way of storing your crypto. You want to avoid these at all costs. Unless you are willing to accept a small amount of risk for daily transactions. And that's where we get into the purpose. These are used for low value, short-term storage to allow for daily use and instant access to funds. This is where you'd have a couple $100 in your Atomic wallet to be able to buy a coffee with 3 years down the road, whenever we get to that point. And you want to be able to just put your fingerprint on it and allow the purchase at some kind of credit card terminal at Tim Hortons. That's what these are meant for. These are not meant for securing $100,000 or $1 million worth of crypto. That is a terrible idea. Arguably, having $1,000 in these is still a terrible idea, depending on how much you consider $1,000 to be when you're thinking about a loss. So again, meant for small amounts of funds or very temporary, low-value storage. The vulnerabilities, virus, spyware, malware, cyber attacks, keyloggers, remote access attacks, as well as physical theft and loss of the phone or the computer or whatever you're using to access it. Moving on to hardware wallets, they're the more secure option. Examples, Trezor, Ledger, Decent encrypted wallet devices. They're essentially glorified USB sticks with special software, operating systems, and features. Their purpose is to be used for intermediate value, long-term storage requiring relatively fast access to funds. It's not fast enough for you to buy a coffee with, and you're generally not going to be carrying around these in your pocket, or at least you shouldn't be carrying them around in your pocket. They should be stored somewhere safe at home in a desk drawer or a fire safe or gun safe or something like that. Relatively fast access to funds. You have to plug them in. You have to log into the app that accesses that interface. You have to enter your PIN. You have to verify your addresses before you can do anything. you know, 5-10 minutes to get to your first transaction is not an unreasonable amount of time versus 5 seconds with a hot wallet. So again, something where you don't need immediate access, but you want to be able to access it if you get some kind of pump and you want to move your funds to an exchange. You would use a hardware wallet, and again, that's for an intermediate value, $1,000 plus, really. Vulnerabilities are the physical hack or cyber attack, as well as physical theft and loss. These things are not impenetrable. If somebody who knew what they were doing got their hands on this from stealing it within your home or you leaving it somewhere, again, with the right tools, the right know-how, they can steal what is on that particular device. And no matter what any of them advertise, if a bad party gets their hands on it, they will be able to get to it eventually. Whether or not you have bought a new device and entered your seed phrases and moved the crypto out of the wallet that is now stolen or missing before they do that is really kind of up in the air. But if somebody gets their hands on it, they still can hack it. A cold wallet is the third type. A cold wallet is not a digital device. It is a physical product like a plate of stainless steel, a plate of aluminum, titanium, a piece of paper, a piece of cardboard, basically anything that is not digitally connected and is mainly used just to record your seed words. So the purpose of these is twofold. The first big one is to be used for high value permanent storage accounts that do not need regular access. So examples of this would be if you're a multimillionaire and you've got millions of dollars stored in a wallet, you do not want to have that ready to use in a Trezor or a Ledger. You do not want that in a hot wallet. You want to only have your seed words recorded, and whether that's stored in a Swiss vault or your bank's safety deposit box. Essentially, what it turns your cold wallet into is a bar of gold that's value is infinite, depending on how much you've got stored in it. That's really what they become. If somebody gets their hands on this, its main vulnerability is physical theft and loss. So these are things that you would want to vault, secure, hide away, any number of things to protect the physical thing. But this completely removes you from the potential of having any form of cyber attack or hack, and brings it completely down to physical custody, just like in the olden days, all of the fancy gold necklaces and gold jewelry you would have seen in ancient times. The reason why those existed was that you could wear your wealth on your body to protect it. Locks and vaults and banks didn't exist 1,000 years ago. So if you left your mud hut, you would have no way of protecting its contents on the inside, so you would wear its value. And this is the same kind of idea, where that value is worn in the form of some kind of physical thing, and you need to make sure you protect that physical thing by whatever means possible. So that's its kind of primary purpose. So cold wallets really are essential items. Again, if they are even a piece of paper, provided you do it properly and have it stored in multiple geographical locations, those are a good way. If you don't want to spend any money, you should have it stored in at least multiple secure places where at least one trusted member of your family knows where it is. Cold wallet is not an interface to access your crypto. It's instead just a means of permanently recording that seed phrase to gain access to your wallet. Devices are dumb, like Ledger and Trezor. They are universal dumb devices, and they are not unique to you or your wallet. So right now, your Ledger, if it were to be wiped, just becomes the same as any other ledger out there. You can grab your friend's Ledger and you can type in your seed phrase and it becomes yours. And then when you wipe it again, it becomes a universal device. So in the event that your physical hardware wallet is destroyed by a fire or flood, you can just buy another one to replace it. They're not unique. Once you have the new unit in your possession, you can re-enter that seed phrase in it to regain access to all the funds contained within the wallet. It's the same with hot and software wallets such as Atomic and Trust. The only important part of crypto, other than maybe the value of it to you, is your seed phrase. There's nothing else that is more important than your seeds. If you no longer have access to your seed phrase and your hot wallet or your hardware wallet is destroyed, you'll never be able to access the crypto contained within that seed phrase again. So again, outlining that the seed phrase is hands down the one thing about crypto that you should worry about. Properly utilizing it, again, the primary purpose of a cold wallet such as ArkPlate is to permanently back up your seed phrase onto a fireproof, waterproof, and rust-proof medium that eliminates all the chances of your seed phrase being accidentally destroyed in a house fire flood. Provided you do a good job of hiding it, it also mitigates the chance of theft during the robbery. Second purpose of it is to give the user a means of safely storing a high value without an existing means of access using a software or hardware wallet, like leaving those seed phrase stored in an active ledger or Trezor. Again, for high value, depending on what you consider to be high value and what would hurt if you lost, you generally do not want to leave those seed phrases stored within a ledger or Trezor, and you can easily wipe that particular hardware wallet after you are finished using it every time. It's inconvenient, but it is the safest way to deal with this. So achieving enterprise grade crypto security, 10 basic things to bring your security up to the next level. 1 is never tell anyone your seed phrase ever, no exceptions. 2 is permanently back up your seed phrase using a cold wallet, preferably a metal one rather than paper or cardboard. Store or hide your cold wallet in a secure location. Use a trusted hardware wallet as your primary software interface to interact with those seed phrases. Reset and wipe your hardware wallet clean after every use. Do not ever use hot or software wallets for high value accounts. Avoid discussing with crypto with anyone you do not trust. Never store crypto on an exchange or with a third-party service, not your keys, not your crypto. Never trust anyone with your funds. Transactions are non-reversible. Make sure that a trusted party knows the location of your cold wallet so that it can be passed on to an inheritor in the event you pass away. So this is just kind of a theoretical situation of what would be considered the perfect high net worth crypto setup. You would have ideally a master hardware wallet that is separate from a monthly hardware wallet, 2 separate wallets, and then a third weekly wallet. So the first master wallet would be used for your high value accounts, whether that's 5,000 or 5 million. That's where you're going to store all of your funds. And the monthly wallet is used for, monthly balances where you wouldn't need more than $5,000 in any given month. So that's all you keep on it. And then the third is your weekly wallet or even your daily wallet if you're really anal, and $1,000 or less just to get through your weekly expenses. Again, thinking 3-5 years down the road. So a balance is transferred once per month from the master wallet to the monthly wallet. The master wallet is wiped and reset after every use. 2 identical cold wallets are kept in 2 separate geographical locations and are used for recovery purposes. Once per month, you grab one of those cold wallets, you enter the seed phrase into your master wallet, you gain access, you transfer to your monthly, and then you wipe your master wallet when you're done. You hide the cold wallet again. The monthly wallet is left active. It's not a huge amount of money, and it's not going to be terrible if you lose it. A balance is transferred once per week from the monthly wallet to the weekly wallet. The monthly wallet does not get wiped. You just leave it in your desk drawer. Again, if somebody steals it and steals $5,000, it is not the end of the world. So it's not like it's your master wallet. Again, 2 cold wallets are kept in 2 separate geographical locations and are used for recovery purposes. In the event that it gets destroyed or wiped accidentally, you can still get into it. The third is your weekly wallet. Again, it is a hot wallet. You want to keep a low balance, and you again would keep 2 copies of your cold wallets in 2 separate geographical locations just to make sure you don't lose $5,000 or $1,000 unnecessarily if you dunk your phone in the toilet. So buying a quality cold wallet, will be made of either stainless steel or titanium. Other materials such as steel will rust, aluminum will not withstand fires, same thing with copper, zinc, any of those other types of materials. So stainless steel or titanium really are the 2 main options for this type of product. They will withstand the temperatures of any form of house fire that has ever been recorded, and it will also withstand any kind of salt water, water damage, rust without becoming illegible. So they're considered permanent. You can destroy them if you want to and you try to, but when it comes to day-to-day life or emergencies or accidents, they're basically indestructible for day-to-day purposes. Both a solid plate that requires engraving, punching, or a permanent marking of some form is always better than a system that uses interchangeable letter plates. You'll see these a lot where you have interchangeable tiles in a cold wallet. And while they are very convenient, if you are changing your seed phrases every single week because you constantly want to make a new wallet over and over and over, they work for that. However, they do not stand up well to any kind of destructive testing, and generally the plates actually fall out under that testing and become scrambled, at which point you've got no way of knowing what your seed phrase was. So again, they are great if you're constantly reprogramming or making new wallets and don't want to buy a whole new cold wallet every single time, but they are not as good a solution as a solid plate system. So ArkPlate approved products. an ArkPlate, of course, is ArkPlate approved. $30. And if ArkPlate did not exist and I was choosing something else that was not my product, I would be personally purchasing the crypto tag Zeus there. So if you don't want to go for me, go for those guys. They make a great quality product. It's just the price tag is not too attractive. So there's just the ad there. And I'm going to show you guys kind of what I've been up to. So this is part of my 2022 product line. The current product that is available on the market is the ArkPlate Vault, which are these guys right here. It's a number system. You can learn more about the tutorial. I'm not going to show my own product too much here. What I am going to be releasing in 2022 is a direct letter version of this particular product. So instead of converting words to numbers and numbers to words, again, you can learn more about the tutorial. You just directly record the first 4 letters of any of your seed phrase and seed word, sorry, and you can read it directly without performing any kind of conversion. I've also got wallet identifiers here so that you can identify that wallet 0001 is yours and wallet 0002 is your spouse's. For things like a Ledger and a Trezor wallet, they use PIN numbers to access them. In the case of Ledger, it's 8 numbers. In the case of Trezor, it's 9. You can record up to 9-digit PIN numbers on this in case you have a brain fart and don't want to constantly reset your device and have to type your seeds in. Wallet identifiers to be able to show whether or not it is a single or 2 separate 12-word wallets on this particular 24-word plate, a single 24, or in the case of other type of recovery systems known as Shamir, you can also identify to be a 20-word Shamir wallet, as well as other odd formats. Cardano has the Yoroi wallet, which uses 15 words. So all you do is just punch your alt there, and then you would punch 1-5 to show that it is a 15-word wallet. So that's what I've been working on. I'm also going to be releasing an automatic center punch along with the new Guardian model, rather than having a manual punch that requires a hammer to use, and just been working on designs for that. So that's what I'm working on. This is going to be coming out. Currently, the retail price of the Vault is $30 Canadian, about 25 US, and the new Guardian model, which will come with an automatic center punch, is going to be priced at $50 US. So that's what I've been working on. Yeah, so I'll stop there just for a minute before going into the next part, but that deals with security and what cold wallet options are out there. There's probably 50 different options out there at the moment, but it kind of gives you a start. So before we go into securities, I'll just stop sharing, or no, you can take control again, right, Tim?
What are you going to do? You're going to?
I was just, if you guys wanted to talk for a minute or take a little breather.
I think there was a few questions, and I know that Candace was trying to answer some of the questions in the chat, and so you know, let's go back. And Marie Claude started asking about, she was confused. I'm sorry, Candace, do you remember her question? I'm just going back up we have an absolutely insane animal tonight in this house. If you're wondering why I'm jumping up and down, this has never happened in a single live stream before. He usually sleeps on the chair. No, he's insane tonight. Anyways, so
I think in Marie Claude's situation, she was just curious as to where you were actually putting the crypto, and I think she was missing the fact that you were still using a hardware wallet to actually make your transactions, and then the whole, you know, then putting your pass seed on the ArkPlate and then erasing that wallet. So she didn't sort of get that last piece.
That's pretty much the gist of it. When it comes to your seed phrase, that is your master password. Your crypto is contained in La La Land in the internet, and to access it in La La Land, you need that seed phrase. And there are interfaces that you interact with, such as a software wallet, hot wallet, or hardware wallet, where all you have to do is enter this, and it gives you a bridge between La La Land and your fingers. That's what it does. And so the cold wallet is just a way of permanently recording that seed phrase. Whether or not you choose to have an active interface to get to it or not is really that gap that is missing between the seed phrase as well as the interface or the wallet itself. Again, we use one term for many different portions of the definition. So a wallet is just in La La Land, your crypto is stored here, and your wallet is accessed by the seed phrase. Whatever you choose to interact with that wallet, be that hardware wallet, software wallet, again, wallet. So that's the thing. So it's often La La Land.
It's I mean, what we think of as the wallet being the physical thing is the surrogate to get to the blockchain where our coins are.
Yeah, exactly. But technically, the wallet is actually only those words.
Right.
You don't have to have a device or a software interface currently in use or activated for your crypto to exist out there. And you can wipe your ledger clean and throw it in a desk drawer and forget about it, and it's going to stay in the same place, your crypto out there. And so again, it's just an interface that goes between. And the problem right now we have in the industry is we use this exact same term for multiple different portions of that chain to get to your crypto, when we really need to start developing the industry different methods of defining that instead of wallet.
Yeah, because I mean, Patricia asked the same thing as Marie-Claude, and I was a little bit confused as well too, because I'm thinking it's the same thing.
Well, I think it's part and parcel of the fact that all the manufacturers and different things that we have available to us put the word wallet at the end of it, when really it's just a word. It's not a wallet as we are perceiving it to be.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people also confuse the fact that exchanges are wallets, and I don't think enough is, you're right. I never connected the dots of saying, if you've got a ton of bags of something, it should be right off the whole radar of everything, because
and then
you don't want it.
Right.
No.
And then Candace answered a question about the Wealthsimple, because a lot of people in this community utilize the Wealthsimple exchange, and
BlockFi is the same.
Yeah, and what I was saying about Wealthsimple is that they are covered by CIPF, so the Canadian Insurance Protection Fund. You'd have to look in their terms and conditions to make sure that that's covering your crypto side. But when it comes to exchanges, they're not as safe, of course, as hardware or cold wallets. But when it comes to Wealthsimple, I would trust them a lot more than I would trust, for example, Newton or BlockFi.
Yeah, and I mean there are also, when we're talking exchanges, hacking, that kind of thing, and third-party custodial services is really what they are. They generally will have, from what I've been able to access in the industry, most of these guys, especially custodial services like Knox Custody and a couple others, they're very, very secretive about how they handle things. And I've managed to get my foot in the door and speak to them beyond what anybody else could about how they deal with custody of actual wallets or seed phrases, and how they actually interact with users' funds on exchanges. And how most of these services work is they will have vaulted products, much like my plates. They will have an actual physical vaults of these, just like a Swiss bank vault, guarded by machine gun guards. And what they do is they will have weekly or monthly withdrawals. They will go into that vault, access their seed words, make a withdrawal of an expected amount of trading volume for any given period of time, and put that in either one or multiple wallets across the exchange, so that no larger than one certain amount is in one spot. And so we get things like the Bitmart hack that just happened, the 200 million. The problem there is that they were keeping 200 million in a single wallet instead of 10 million in 20 different wallets, using one seed phrase to carry many different assets or huge amounts of value of any given asset in a single wallet, versus a lot of exchanges will have, again, many different seed phrases, or they won't actually have, okay, how am I trying to explain this? It's very difficult to actually outline how they're doing it, but we'll leave it. I'm not going to get into it. It's a time burner.
That's no worries.
Anyway,
no worries. No, I get it.
It's very, very complicated. And again, there are many different ways of doing it, but we're seeing this where they're getting lazy. And by having one wallet that everyone's funds are in, and all we have is a username that gives us the right or an IOU to whatever is in that particular wallet that is currently in their custody. And when somebody gets into that because they're dumb and using a hot wallet and they've got their keys recorded on some kind of network stack, and all it takes is hacker skills to get in that network stack, extract the seeds, whatever's in it is theirs. It's that simple, non-reversible transactions. Now, when it comes to insurance, like what Candace was talking about there, insurance is great and it gives you a good peace of mind that you're protected. However, there's a big problem with this. Let's just say, it would be a pretty damn rare situation, but we'll say that a wallet with 1 million Bitcoin in it gets hacked. We take 1 million Bitcoin off of the open market, and yes, the insurance, that would be a huge amount of money, so chances are an insurance policy wouldn't cover that. The problem isn't getting reimbursed by that necessarily, but more so now 1 million Bitcoin is missing from the market that we have locked up in a blacklisted account because we can't pull it out of that account. It's a permanent transaction. It means that now you don't want $50,000, you want your 1 Bitcoin back. And there's that much less Bitcoin on the free market. There's no guarantee you're going to get the 1 Bitcoin back, only that you would get the value of what that Bitcoin represented back. So that's the problem with relying on an insurance policy from an exchange versus, like, I don't want that. I want my million XRP back. I don't want $1 million, because that also could count as a taxable event. You've technically cashed out your $1 million in XRP, and now you owe 30% capital gains tax on that $1 million because they have forced you to cash out. So that's, again, something that most people don't think about when it comes to, I'm insured, I'm safe. You might be safe to get the value back. It's going to incur a taxable event. There's lots of things to think about. So again, storing it on an exchange is not necessarily, again, a great idea, even if they are insured.
Okay, so I've got 2 folks to add to the stream. Oh, Ryan's popped it off for a second. Just thought, and Ken's here. Just thought in case that they had any questions.
Well, first of all, the whole insurance thing, it never truly covers the whole amount, especially looking at Bitmart. Bitmart, I can't remember the number, but it was really low from that big hack. And Bitmart's actually using their own profit to make everybody whole. So that's nice of them. However, they don't have to, because their insurance only covers X amount, so.
Well, I'm pretty sure even like my private bank account, not that it has this much, but I'm pretty sure it only covers $250,000 insurance. Whether you got $1 million or 10 million, it's $250,000. That's it.
Yeah. So you got to be careful when it comes to insurance and exchanges.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, welcome.
Hey.
Never carry any more than what they will cover on that exchange.
You got the sweater?
Yes, Candace is responsible directly for one of my Christmas gifts this year. I guess she posted a picture of this Star Trek sweater on the Facebook group, and my mom's like, yeah, Candace, take it down like immediately. And then my mom went and bought it for me for Christmas. So thank you, Candace, for giving her the idea.
There you go. There you go.
I am a gift muse.
That's right. That's right. So, wondering, Ryan, you've been watching in the background for a bit. Do you have any questions for Dave before we go to the next topic?
My questions for Dave are related to the post that he put on the Crypto Night in Canada thing.
We're just about to do it. We're just
awesome.
about, that's the next slideshow.
That's where I'm rocking and rolling.
And that's why I brought you in at this point, Ryan.
That's right. We had this all planned perfectly.
I know something about this area.
Oh,
all right.
geez.
All right. So Dave, back to you.
Perfect. All right. So
there's the screen's up.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
Okay, securities. Okay, so we're going to talk about securities, and again, this is an even more touchy subject. So again, I have to do the thing. I'm not a qualified financial professional, and this should not be considered financial advice in any form or capacity. In fact, anyone who is advising on securities and acting as if they are qualified to do so it's a full-on, like, you can go to jail crime. Same thing with advising for people to invest in or purchase in either securities or even unregulated securities. So anything I'm about to say is just personal opinion based on what I believe, okay? Based on my own research. So just to fully clarify that. So I'm not a professional. Take this with a grain of salt. So do your own research part of this. So the investment contract test and understanding securities in Canada. Starting really with the XRP lawsuit that was launched by the SEC, we're starting to see more and more securities regulations. And really, this is probably going to be, well, it will be the biggest problem that anyone in crypto faces. And that is because it is such a huge topic that will literally affect everything. So we're going to get into securities, and we're going to start off with defining what are securities in Canada. So in this particular one, it's been pulled off of the actual Canada.ca website. And down there in the highlighted section, we got really what is, for us, the kind of important thing. And it really starts here at the word commodity. So publicly traded options or contracts for any property, including any commodity. So again, depending on personal opinion, and right now, because we do not have regulations on crypto, we are somewhere between personal opinion, public opinion, and regulator opinion. We don't actually have a true definition at this time. So this is all trying to figure out ourselves as to what to define it as, and to create or to have a certain amount of risk tolerance as to what you truly believe it will be, versus what you are willing to potentially lose. So some crypto could be considered property. In the case of Canadian tax regulation, it is considered a commodity. There is a blanket commodities definition for all crypto, bar none, out there. It is taxed as if it is a commodity under capital gains tax. Publicly traded options or contracts for futures, foreign currencies, and precious metals. So again, this could be counting as stable coins, such as USDT or USDC. For trading in foreign currencies, stable coins, again, even though it's a stable value and not an investment contract, it still counts as a foreign currency. Futures are pretty common across a lot of exchanges. And precious metals, which also falls under, I can't remember the exact name of Pax Gold, Paxos. Anyway, one of the cryptos out there actually is a gold representative. It's essentially a gold certificate, where for one of these you are entitled to 1 ounce of physical gold that particular company vaults in Switzerland. There are many of these types of things out there, certificates for silver, gold, any form of precious metal. So again, even though they're a physical item and it's a certificate, it still would be defined as a security. Publicly traded options or contracts for indexes relating to any property. So again, crypto indexes, even though they exist out there, we still do not have regulations. So that does not mean that if you invest in Ethereum index or whatever broad crypto index, that does not mean that any individual crypto or all cryptos contained within that index are safe. It means that we still don't have the definition, and the hammer can still fall on that particular part of the market. So that is defining securities for what matters to us today. So this is pulled off of a Legal Insights website that goes into this very heavily, and I've really pulled the most important, I think it's this slide and the next slide, that again apply to us today for us to just really start. This is such a huge topic that it would take us hours to go through just the single web page I pulled this off of. So what we're looking at today is known as the investment contract test, and in the United States SEC side of things, they call it the Howey test. So there are 4 different categories to this. I'm just going to move to the next slide. Oh, back one. There must be an investment of money with an intention or expectation of profit in a common enterprise in which the fortunes of the investor are interwoven with and dependent upon the efforts and success of those seeking the investment of or of third parties, and the success or failure of which is significantly affected by the efforts of those other than the investor. So if you meet these particular categories, if they are true for each of the points, or even any singular point, it can still be partially considered a security. So even if they only put an investment of money which the company directly benefited from, but all of the rest were not true, it can still legally be defined as a security. So all 4 are equally important as each other, and if any one is true or is considered a yes in its answer, you should consider it to be a security. So regulator guidance. In particular, many coin or token offerings, despite being marketed as software products, should properly be considered securities when the totality of the offering or arrangement is considered. So it is being defined that it doesn't matter what it is, if it is a coin or token offering, it should automatically be considered a security. Platforms that facilitate the buying and selling or transferring of crypto assets trigger securities regulation. And this is why we're seeing platforms like Binance being removed by the Ontario Securities Commission, because they have not registered with the Ontario Securities Commission to be able to sell securities in Ontario. Had they have done this, or if they choose to do this, we will be allowed to have Binance back. So it is just a case of that particular company following the rules that this regulator has put out. If CTP trades in crypto assets that are attached to certain properties such as voting rights or rights to receive dividends, again, depending on your personal opinion as to what these mean, as we currently don't have guidance. Voting rights would be certain cryptos. When you hold them, you gain a right to vote towards what happens with that blockchain at the moment or down the road. So that is technically defined as voting rights given to you with these digital assets, or the rights to receive dividends. Things like Algorand Algo, you gain 7% per year of whatever you're holding automatically deposits into your wallet. So you are, again, technically receiving dividends, even though that's not what they are. So likely trigger securities regulation, as they are already clearly defined as securities. So coins or tokens that may have voting rights and or receiving dividends or staking rewards are clearly defined as securities. Securities law requirements. In Canada, absent an available exemption, a prospectus must be filed and approved with the relevant regulator before a person or entity can legally distribute securities. So we'll go with XRP, Ripple. If Ripple did not register, whether XRP is a security or not does not matter. Ripple did not register with the Ontario Securities Commission to distribute XRP in Ontario. They did not follow the rules. An individual or entity engaged in the business of distribution of securities or advising others with respect to securities is required to register with Canadian securities regulators. I am not a financial professional. This is all hearsay. This is my opinion. I am not currently giving advice. I am only giving my opinion on securities. Investment contract test. Again, the 4 things we're going to be going over. They're just reviewed here for us. We're going to be going through each one of them, and we're actually going to be doing an anonymous token. I have picked a token to perform a basic test on so that users at home here listening can go through your own portfolio to be able to try and do your best to determine if what you are holding right now is legally considered a security. So this one, because I picked a random one so that nobody here is biased. This could be Bitcoin, be Ethereum, it could be Dogecoin. You don't know, so that you currently have no bias, so that we can take an honest look based on what we are presented as to whether or not this is truly considered a security by what we can as home users find based on our own opinion. So the first, there must be an investment of money. The unknown token was offered to investors to purchase on the open market with a fair launch. A portion of the funds were company to put towards marketing efforts to ensure that the token and ecosystem succeed in the long term. An investment has been made into the company's token and ICO, a portion of which has been kept by the company to put towards their marketing operations, making the unknown token an investment contract and defining it as a security for point number 1. With an intention or expectation of profit. This is copied directly from this company's website. Buyers have the chance to hold exclusive assets that are expected to increase in value with time. That is quoted from their website. An expectation of profit has been made to the investor, making the unknown token an investment contract and defining it as a security for point 2. In a common enterprise in which the fortunes of the investor are interwoven with and dependent upon the efforts and success of those seeking the investment, again copied, and at the same time, their purchases are helping us leverage our marketing efforts to sustain the growth of our community and value of our token. The statement outlines that the efforts and success of the team is interwoven with the fortunes and asset value of the investor, making the unknown token an investment contract and defining it as a security for point number 3. Point number 4, the success or failure of which is significantly affected by the efforts of those other than the investor. Copied. Unknown is a community-owned startup business that is run by our pool of holders. However, as we begin to grow, a group of investors capacitated in their areas of expertise stepped up to help organize and lead the team. Currently, we are a team of over 40 passionate people developing the business for the community. This statement outlines that the success or failure of the investment contract is significantly affected by the team's ability to develop the business and community surrounding the token, making the unknown token an investment contract and defining it as a security for point number 4. This company did not register the company, token, or ICO with any securities authorities such as the SEC or the Ontario Securities Commission, OSC. This makes the unknown token not only a security, it is now an unregistered security. So we're going to test this. Quant is one of my coins that I hold. I'm not saying it is a good choice for you to purchase. You need to do your own research, but I performed this test on it just because it just so happened to go up today and I noticed it. There must be an investment of money. The Quant token was not made available to an open market with an ICO. The token was offered for private pre-sale only to founders, advisors, and staff. The token itself is a utility token or product that is used solely to pay fees to access the features of and pay the yearly license fees of the Overledger operating system software. The profits collected from the pre-sale of this utility token products were kept by the company as income from the pre-sale of a product that is solely used to access the Overledger operating system. Any secondary sales of the Quant token on the open market by the original purchasers of the Quant token are considered private business that is unrelated to Quant Network and its private funding. No money has been speculatively invested in the company during the private pre-sale of Quant tokens. A product has been purchased by private parties that enables them to access and use the Overledger operating system software. This does not result in the status of an investment contract being created. With the intention or expectation of profit, Quant Network has made no claims or speculation on the present or future value of Quant token that is used to access Overledger. Quant Network has stated that the sole purpose and utility of the Quant token is to act as a means of paying fees to access the features of Overledger, and only that $100 worth of Quant tokens is required to pay the yearly licensing fees to operate Overledger, no matter what the fair market value of Quant is at the time of payment. No intention or expectations of future profits have been given to the private parties who purchased the Quant token. Quant Network has stated that the fair market value of the Quant token is irrelevant to the function of the Overledger operating system. This does not result in the status of an investment contract being created. In common enterprise in which the fortunes of the investor are interwoven with and dependent upon the efforts and success of those seeking the investment. Quant Network is a privately funded company that was fully funded and operational before private investors were given the opportunity to purchase Quant tokens that are required to pay for the Overledger licensing fees. The sale of and fair market price of the Quant token product is irrelevant to Overledger operating system success, and it only serves as a utility token to access the services that Quant Network offers as a privately funded company. This does not result in the status of an investment contract being created. 4. The success or failure of which is significantly affected by the efforts of those other than the investor. The fair market price of Quant utility token is irrelevant to Quant Network. Quant Network does not rely upon the sale of Quant token as a source of operational income and instead relies upon private investment capital provided directly to the company. Any sales of the Quant token are sales of a product that is required to use Overledger OS. The price of the Quant token does not affect the daily operations of Quant Network, its ability to succeed, or its separate private funding. In addition to this, the price of the Quant token is irrelevant to the proper functioning of the Overledger operating system. This does not result in the status of an investment contract being created. Because the Quant token does not meet the definition of being a security, registration of the token with the SEC, the OSC, etc. is not required, and the distribution of the token cannot be regulated by the SEC. Quant token is not a security, and it is not an unregistered security. So that, again, was just an example of being able to go through myself. The first example, the bad one, or the one that I personally believe, in my opinion, is a security. I gathered that, I didn't put it in the PowerPoint, but I read that information and had made my decision within 2 minutes on that website. It was that easy for me to determine on my own whether I personally believed that particular token was a security. The same thing goes with Quant. It took me a couple minutes, maybe 5 minutes, but I found the information I needed to make my decision that I do not believe that Quant would be a security when the hammer comes down. So why do unregistered securities matter? To buy, sell, or trade unregistered securities, an individual must meet the following qualifications that are known as being something called an accredited investor. This means that the individual is financially and mentally capable of absorbing any losses that come with trading highly volatile and risky assets. In Canada and in Ontario specifically, an accredited investor must have a yearly salary that exceeds $200,000 per year or $300,000 jointly with your partner, and you must have at least $1 million in liquid financial assets such as cash, stocks, and bonds available at any given point in time. This does not include real estate, vehicles, possessions, other things, liquid cash value. This also does not include anything you currently hold in your crypto portfolio that may consist of unregistered securities. You could have $5 million in your crypto wallet. It doesn't make any difference. You have to have $1 million cash. What if I own an unregistered security? If the SEC or OSC classifies a digital asset that a user currently owns as an unregistered security, they will lose the right to purchase more and or trade and sell it for something else until they meet the accredited investor status requirements or until it is declared not a security. Exchanges would be forced to disable the trading of something that has been classified as an unregistered security until KYC is performed to determine if any given individual currently qualifies as an accredited investor. So your funds could wind up locked until they can find out that either you are one or you aren't one. This could result in a user having to hold on to this asset forever or sell by choice to an accredited investor for less than fair market value if presented with the option to do so. This situation would be caused by the regulations creating a buyer's market, where 99% of people can only sell and 1% are the only ones who can buy it. An excessive supply of the asset with low demand will make the price plummet to nothing as people scramble to get rid of it. So we can go over this, we don't need to, but I thought it was a good thing to know. Again, this was not a random one. I did pick this, and I specifically picked this because it is to do with this, well, not necessarily this direct group, but probably some of the people, I know one person at least is in it, and I'm sure other people are. So I just decided to go with it because everyone here is at least somewhat familiar with it. Sorry, Ken. That was Saitama was the one I found. So again, in my opinion, if the hammer comes down and when it comes down, I personally believe Saitama is going to be declared an unregistered security. So I'd really like to discuss this, what everybody kind of thought about these particular things. So I'm going to kind of go back. And now that you know what it is, if there's anything in defense, that would be great. If you want to take me off. So can I minimize this?
Here, we'll take you.
To a small screen?
Yeah, we've added.
Perfect.
We've added.
Oh, no, it's as small as it gets.
Yeah, so we'll. I know.
There. Okay, I'll leave this on. I don't need to look at you guys.
Okay, and we've brought Neil. Neil's joined the conversation too. So
hello, Neil.
What you're saying in a lot of cases here is a bit of a frightening situation.
It is,
Dave. So I'm wondering how we even dive into this conversation, because for the vast majority of us who hold a lot of different crypto, what you're thinking is that we're not going to be able to hold this anymore.
It's not necessarily a case of being able to hold it. You can still hold it. You just can't buy, sell, or trade it, at which point it essentially becomes worthless. Now, there are a couple things here. Say, I'm not a professional. To anybody who might be a professional here who's really irked by this, this is just kind of a very, very quick thing going into this, just to give people an idea of how important this topic is. So I could be completely wrong on certain points. So just to make that very clear to everybody. Things like, for sure, if it is declared an unregistered security and you are not an accredited investor, there is no way that you are legally allowed to purchase this asset or trade it for one other asset. So that removes essentially your ability to get rid of it when it comes to, well, to initially buy it, to accept the risk, and to trade it to get out of it because you want to get out of it. And again, selling it and trading it are the kind of the other half of the thing. Because we do not have clarity on this particular topic, whether or not you will be allowed to sell it in the first place is still up in the air. There's no clear definition on that. So the other part of that is, of course, when we have the supply versus demand issue, even if you were allowed to sell it, the value is going to immediately plummet as soon as that definition takes place. Now, the chances of the OSC or the SEC throwing the hammer down, we wake up one morning on the news and something is declared a security or everything is declared a security, and exchanges not having been pre-notified of this is slim. More than likely, if it were to happen, they would go through and notify every single exchange out there as of, December 16th at 9 a.m. You must shut down all trading services for anything that is declared a security. We are probably not going to have an unintended grace period to exit our positions once the hammer comes down. which is why I believe it is important to deal with this now. Because anything that you could even remotely consider a security or an unregistered security, which is the big problem, you have the ability to get rid of it now and to remove that risk. And so I was looking for hours trying to find companies that actually registered their ICO, their company, and their token with any form of either SEC or the OSC. There was like one coin. It was Bitcoin HD. Now, I've never heard of it before, but Bitcoin HD apparently did actually register their ICO and their token as a security. So people can trade that even after all this happens because it's already registered. The problem is that every other company out there did not register their securities beforehand. So that is kind of the big thing where already we've got a major issue where there's 13,000 different cryptos. And so far I've been able to find one that actually registered. So if they're declared securities, immediately 12,999 of them are declared unregistered securities, just based on the fact that they were not registered in the first place.
So, David, what all of this of what you're saying, I'm just trying to go through it in my head, is all contingent on what exchange it's held on. So, for example, if all of our stuff was held on Binance, it doesn't fall under the Ontario Securities because we can't trade it there, right? And we can't access it anyway.
Not necessarily. That's it's a twofold thing where you have got individual people like us being able to buy and sell unregistered securities, which you can't unless you're an accredited investor. And not only that, the exchanges have to register. So we'll use we'll use Ethereum. So Ethereum at their ICO should have registered with all of the securities commissions. They should have registered not just the company, but the ICO and the token. All three should have been registered as potentially securities if it met the definition of a security. Not only that, any exchange we interact with to purchase the securities or lack thereof would also need to be registered, which is why Binance got kicked out of Ontario, because the exchange itself had not registered with the OSC. Now, the status of all of the tokens on Binance is irrelevant for the moment, just because we can't access Binance because they have not registered with the OSC. That's why we can't get on Binance. Things like BitBuy, who just announced not being able to have XRP on it. So yeah. BitBuy may or may not, as an exchange, be registered with the OSC, but the OSC is now at the point of considering, they've obviously gone to the point of warning BitBuy that they believe XRP is going to be declared a security, which means we can safely assume that the OSC is going to declare XRP as a security, as they are already attempting to enforce it on this exchange.
So if they do declare them a security, then what does ultimately, I guess, maybe what I need to do is pause here, because this has brought like an enormous amount of fear into me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, we're talking all of the crypto, the entire crypto market cap is over $2.3 trillion. Mm-hmm. What you're saying on some levels is I get it. And there's a lot of information here I'm trying to digest really quickly, but I'm wondering what that would do to the economy at large to all of a sudden have that much disruption to $2.3 trillion in market cap.
Not to mention, you'd be limiting access to the top 1% of income generators in the entire country. They're going to change the laws before that's going to happen, in my opinion. I don't think you guys have to be worried, but I totally agree with what Dave's saying, but I can't see them literally wiping the cash off the books.
The 1% rule the world. They control it.
Never. Yeah. But I could literally see them changing the rules for crypto before they literally limit everybody's cash.
I mean, the problem really that we've run into with this whole situation is that because cryptocurrency in general has been such a gray area for so long, the rules have always been in place and the rules have always been applicable to crypto. It's just they have never been enforced, and that really is it's the fault of not just the regulators for not enforcing it from day one, but the fault of the companies for not going through the proper motions. And I can understand it can take months to get regulatory approval for a security. It costs a lot of money. But these rules are in place to protect us. And, I'm on both sides of the fence where, I don't like government. I do not like their control over the financial system. I like the idea of freedom through crypto, individual finance as well as decentralized finance. It's great. But there are arguments on both sides that make sense. And the problem is that the rules have always been there on the one side, and it's just they were never followed.
I know it just,
Yeah.
I mean, I go back to, this was going to be one of the topics that I had. I got an email that contained a piece of information from my Quick Serve restaurant magazine. And like, this is just prime example. Cryptocurrency is new in the world of quick service restaurants. So Burger King is now, at least in the US anyways, but I'm not sure if it's rolling into Canada yet or not, is that as part of their app, their reward system is going to be crypto, but I'm not sure which crypto they're giving. I haven't read it all the way through yet, this promotion. But at the end of the day, it's integrating in with Apple CarPlay. So I'm assuming it's going to be similar to how Shakepay is doing their rewards. There's no way possibly that all these big businesses are starting to jump on board with this.
There is, and sorry to interject here, there is a way that they could do that without any problem at all. And that is making the Burger King token a stable value arcade token. And all it does is when you earn one Burger King token, you get $1 that you can only spend as essentially a rewards program at Burger King.
It's like Canadian Tire money.
Exactly. And Canadian Tire money, if they digitize crypto as Canadian Tire money, that is not a security because you're not investing in it. There's no reward. And if you can't trade it even if people trade it publicly after receiving it, that's considered a private transaction, and that would not count towards classifying something as a security. It is how it is released and what its purpose is. And that's really the thing. Canadian Tire money, they could digitize that on, again, blockchain dependent, and whether that blockchain is actually considered a security in itself or not. But regardless of that, if Burger King or Canadian Tire wants to make a Canadian Tire thing that can only be spent at Canadian Tire, that is not an investment contract, and all it is a rewards point system, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why these companies are starting to do this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's not under the jurisdiction of the SEC or the CTFC or whatever. It is just a case of it's just a digital version of Canadian Tire money. It has one purpose, one use, and it's not a speculative investment.
Then how does Shakepay and Netcoins, how does that fathom in with getting Satoshis for every dollar you earn?
That I'm not too sure about. Again, it could be.
I'm just wondering out loud.
If it's, a rewards program, you are not technically buying Satoshis from Shakepay. They are just giving you a reward in something. Now, there's gray area on whether or not they are allowed to distribute what could potentially be. Bitcoin's a tough one. I'm not going to say it's either a security or not, in my opinion. But if it is declared a security, they would probably be in trouble. But in my opinion, I'm going to say that I would believe in the case of Bitcoin that it would not be considered a security just because of how it was initially created and distributed. That's, again, my opinion.
So Dave, in your opinion, is this just going to be an Ontario problem, or a Canada problem, or are you thinking this is a North American problem? How big a problem do you see this being?
I love being the bad guy on this channel. So what was it? The last time I talked about something, it was also not I can't remember what it was. It was about NFTs. I was the bad guy last time. So call me the bad guy, guys. That's great. It's okay. I'm okay with that. It's a global problem. And again, it's really pessimistic, and it sucks. It really does suck to be pessimistic about this, because for a lot of people, crypto is their way out. It's their
Right.
golden ticket. And unfortunately, you know, like I didn't get in Bitcoin in 2008. Most of my opportunity for a golden ticket is basically gone because back then it you know, if we knew now what we or then what we know now, obviously. But the problem is we're at that junction now where regulation is going to take place, and adoption has gone up so much that a lot of people will suffer if it goes the wrong way. I am of the opinion that I would rather be the bad guy and make sure everybody is mentally and financially prepared for this now than have the entire thing. I mean, if it collapses, it collapses. It is what it is. But it's just a case of now all of you have gone through, you know, doing your own at-home investment contract test. Just whatever you've got in your portfolio, do exactly what I just did using your own opinion, just like I used my own opinion and not professional financial advice, to determine in those particular two examples whether it was a security or not. And to the best of my ability, I determined that one was a security, an unregistered security, and one is not a security. So now I can adjust my portfolio based on my risk tolerance. And I'll actually, is my screen still shared?
No.
No, I got to bring it back. Hang on, sorry.
No, but I'm okay. Before you do that, though, Tim, I'm trying to understand. Like, even if we use the XRP example, for instance, because everybody was sitting waiting for the SEC to make a judgment call for that. The ideology behind that was that should they be deemed a security, that would make that token that much more valuable. But you're saying no, it wouldn't. Is
No,
that
it
what you're
wouldn't.
saying?
Because it was unregistered. And XRP is I believe XRP was chosen for a very specific reason, because it is it's a U.S. company. It's a formal U.S. company with operations. It directly interacts with banks and financial institutions and governments, even national currencies. So beyond its current location, where it's a prime target for a U.S. regulator being located in the United States, it also paves the way for them to deal with a lot of the regulation topics in a single go, in a single suit. It's not just the token sales or holders or what the technology can do, what it's technically defined as, whether it's utility or secure utility token, whether it is a currency, whether it's a security. It also has something that not a lot of people think about or may even know about, that Ripple is not the creator of XRP. It was another whole different company called OpenCoin created and minted XRP, and they gifted XRP to Ripple, all of the reserves. So you don't just have the situation of, you know, you could pick on Ethereum and go after them for the people who actually created the token, but now you're getting included in that lawsuit the people who are distributing and managing the token, but also they didn't make it. So you don't have to go onto a completely different lawsuit down the road and say, what about in a situation if somebody didn't make the coin and was just gifted it to distribute, at which point there's a giant loophole where you get Joe Blow to make the currency, you gift it to the company who wants to do an ICO. So it actually deals with two problems in one. And that's why I think, number one, it was chosen. And again, we're going on unregistered versus registered securities. There's no problem with us trading registered securities. Like, again, in my opinion, based on my research, again, I don't know anything about it, so it's not a recommendation. I just saw the name. Bitcoin HD is apparently, from what I saw, a registered security. So if the entire market craps the bed, you're still going to be able to trade Bitcoin HD and own it and possess it and do whatever you want with it because they registered it. They actually went through the motions of doing it. And so the biggest problem right now arises from companies not having registered the securities, whether or not they believe them to be securities or not. If they had just damn well registered everything and gone through the proper motions in the first place, it's literally just like how you can log on to Wealthsimple or Robinhood and trade a stock. Those are securities. You could do it right now while you're on the show. And there's nothing wrong with you and I buying or selling registered securities. So this entire hellhole of regulation that we're about to get dragged through comes from the fact that they are unregistered. Now, there are tokens which, again, if it does not meet the qualification of being a security, if it is not a security, then you're still going to be able to trade it. And again, quant token, in my opinion, not saying to buy it, but in my opinion, quant is going to survive, and it will still be on exchanges after however many percent, 90, 95% of other things get the axe, because one, it does not declare as a security, which means it can't be an unregistered security, and it's a utility token, just like a Canadian Tire dollar token, if you want to do that. It's basically a Burger King token.
Okay, so I'm drowning in information on this, Dave. Like I'm almost
very complicated.
I'm almost to the point where I'm like, I don't even know what to think at this point in time. Yeah. So Tim pulled up the screen what is this? This, because I've had to apply this to myself, to be fair with everybody else who I'm informing, I have not made any actions yet when it comes to filtering my portfolio, but this is what is currently in my portfolio. What is in green are what I believe to be truly utility tokens that are not defined as securities. Ethereum in yellow is in some places advertised as a currency, some place advertised as a utility coin, sometimes it's advertised as a gas token. So there's many different things. However, I do not actually invest in Ethereum. I just hold it to be able to pay transactions for my ERC20 tokens. So I don't care about Ethereum being an investment, and I only hold enough to be able to basically sell all these guys at the top, and that's all I need. So I don't care if I lose my Ethereum to unregistered security status. The orange ones are what would be considered currencies, regardless of their utility, which again, currencies fall under the definition of securities based on how they operate. And the red are ones that I'm pretty sure are just going to get the axe. The orange, I'm not sure. This is kind of speculative, but I would assume based on how they currently operate, everything that is orange or red is going to get the axe. Yellow could maybe get the axe, but personally, I do not care. And out of my tokens, these are going to be the only ones I keep. So basically, when we're done in the next 24 hours, again, to be fair with community, I am going to be exiting all of these positions. Because right now, regulation and securities is starting to pump up. We are seeing the OSC crack down. Binance was my primary exchange. I now have to go up and sign with like 6 different exchanges, which we're probably not supposed to sign up with, just so I can sell these damn assets. I have to get rid of them. Uniswap I prefer not to use, specifically because it's a decentralized finance exchange. There's no proper records keeping for tax purposes. And when I sell these, I'm going to be incurring capital gains tax to be able to get rid of them. So thought process into dealing with your portfolio now, having to find out, I know that it's going to take me a couple days to sign up to these exchanges. I know I'm going to have to do proper records keeping. I'm starting a taxable event at the end of the tax year. Do I want to wait another 2 weeks to be able to do this? So again, the reason I'm showing this is because this is out of my portfolio. I've already decided what I'm keeping. And it's this right here, because securities are kicking up so much that my risk tolerance has disappeared for the securities problem. I'm done with the securities problem. I have proper risk assessment in my entire portfolio. I'm not going to trade crap or something that I can even give 1% potential crap status to. It's done. It's not worth it to me. So okay,
that's where I'm at.
Okay, this is really informative. So I'm going to ask Candace. You're sitting here listening to this. I know you've got a position in a lot of these things. Ken, same thing. Neil, I'm not sure if you do. I'm not even going to ask Brian because he doesn't have much of anything going on in the crypto space. So you're listening to this, you see this. What are you thinking?
I think it's a good time for me to tell you that this was all an elaborate scheme and that I've never purchased any crypto. This is just a persona I've created. So,
and you're really living in your
NFT
mother's house,
horses.
aren't you?
Just send that on over to the federal and provincial government. I am a fraud. I am fake.
Have I told you guys that you could bury ArkPlates?
To be honest with you, I'm not too worried because like I have to pull and to get gains in that to be that concerned. So I'm gonna let some stuff fall into place. But to be quite honest, I have totally been shifting into NFTs, and I would totally argue and will argue that it's art that I'm collecting. So there is actually, if they want me to pay sales tax on it, okay, like, yeah. Sure.
And that's actually a really valid point. NFTs and art, you're purchasing, again, my opinion, don't go off of it. I need to research this myself. I don't do anything to do with NFTs, like 0% NFTs for me. So right now, thinking about it, it's a product. You're purchasing a painting. In my opinion, an NFT in that particular type, painting or digital art, it's a product that you're purchasing and not an investment contract.
And then use a gas token to make it happen, right? Like
if that goes up in value after you purchase it, it's a private sale. It is not anything to do with an ICO or a particular company. You're not investing, you're buying a product. So
like my style and Dave's style are probably totally different with taxes, because I have some notes and I'm happy to hand them over.
Oh my gosh. Neil, you crack me up. Candace, what are you thinking at this point in time?
Well, at this point in time, I'm honestly not worried. And part of the reason for that is, even if they want to start bringing a lot more regulation down, one of the interesting things with Canada is all of our regulatory boards, they're provincial. So provincial and territory. So that kind of makes it a little bit more difficult. Now, it is in the cards to look towards creating perhaps a federal regulation on this. I know there's a lot of people that want to do it. There are groups out there that certainly assist, like IIROC. But I think at this point, you might see a little bit more strictness happening, for example, with the Ontario Securities Commission, because sometimes they get a little bit overboard. But I don't think it's a big issue yet, and I think any changes that do happen, especially while we're still looking at a provincial regulations type situation, I think we'll have warnings, sort of like when Binance was basically told that they couldn't sell in Ontario. We were given months of warning, so you'll have that warning.
But even if you had the warning, it's still going to plummet the second you get the warning. So the warning's kind of irrelevant, though, because you know what I mean? It'll just fall off a cliff immediately.
If it's in one small, like Ontario, if it was only Ontario, let's just say XRP was declared a security tomorrow by the OSC, globally we're talking, whatever it is in Ontario, like 20 million people or something out of however many people globally trade XRP. We definitely see a small change in price, I would assume. If we're talking blanket regulations where all the countries have got correspondence between each other to deal with this, I would assume that in some capacity, most, we'll call them first world governments, would have some form of communication and correspondence as to what they're all doing. Because again, trying to do, like, one of the big things for XRP is like, well, even if it's declared a security in the United States, it doesn't matter because Japan uses it quite a bit, just even more than the United States. So I'll just sell my stuff over in Japan. Well, we're going to be constantly jumping through countries, and they're going to know that. So they're going to probably try and have some kind of roadblock at some point of some capacity.
I think, there was always that possibility that there may be some roadblocks, but I don't think it would happen immediately. It's not going to be a situation where you wake up one morning and it's like, we just dropped this all right now. You can't sell it starting immediately. They're going to give you time. You're going to have time to move things around. And if it's only Ontario, so let's say if it's just Ontario decided to do this and they reached out to all the major exchanges, and the exchanges are now unable to sell it for Ontario, it's not going to impact the price of that asset very much while you have that grace period to get rid of it. So, if you have it on Kraken, for example, you'd be able to exchange it for something else.
We've seen, though, with Ontario, and I don't know how many of the states down in the United States follow suit almost immediately. So it wouldn't just be Ontario, and then Japan tends to follow suit. So it wouldn't just be Ontario or the handful of the states down in America or Japan or Europe, who tends to follow a little bit as well. But I don't think it's fair to say just Ontario. If Ontario cut the axe, America's going to do it in the handful, and then it'll just snowball from there. It freaked me out. I thought it was a wicked post. I'm glad I read it the other day. I'm glad you brought more up about it, Dave.
Some of our audience said, hopefully you got yourself a VPN, and also cough privacy coins.
Pirate.
basically, they're like a car wash for coins, so they're like a coin wash. Go into the coin. Right.
I mean, a lot of people are, again, I get to be the bad guy on this topic, because I'm pretty sure I was on the same topic last time, was centralization versus decentralization. Again, in a utopia, decentralization all the way. I'm completely for it. But until then, I know that I am not part of the 1% who control the world. So I'm going to play by the rules personally. That's how I'm dealing with it. I would rather pay my capital gains tax, cash out legally, make sure I don't have the securities, and just right from the get-go. I was even in my bank probably 2 weeks ago talking about this, about with my particular portfolio size, it will be an issue when I go to withdraw it. And what's going to happen when I withdraw X amount of dollars, because I know that I'm going to have authorities asking where the hell I got that money from. So even these things that a lot of people don't think about, like, okay, you make $1 million or 2 million or whatever, and you cash it out into Tether, as soon as you deposit that into your bank account, even from a Canadian exchange, it's immediately going to be at least locked up or thrown into escrow, if not seized by the RCMP or the Canada Revenue Agency or any number of different agencies, just because it appeared out of nowhere. Even if you made it legitimately, if you don't have full trading records, all that kind of thing, to be able to give them, start to finish custody of, here's when I deposited it into NDAX, and then I transferred it to Binance, and then to this. So I've, from the start, I have gone 100%. I am playing along with the 1%'s rules, because I do not want to risk anything. It's my payday, even if I'm paying 30% tax.
Okay, and so there's a few things. So is Bitcoin wrapped up in this? Did they register?
No, because Bitcoin was an anonymous release, and it was just public mining. This is why I personally do not believe Bitcoin will be declared a security. And most, even the governments who do talk about it, basically kind of agree it's a store of value. Again, exchanges that have listed Bitcoin without registering as distributors of securities could get in trouble, but I personally don't think they're going to be able to declare Bitcoin a security just because of how it was created and how it has always been distributed. You have to mine it. There was no sale that went to Satoshi's company. It was, he started mining Bitcoin because he created it, and then other people started mining, and then it reached the open market through secondary sales. So
do you mind if I share a screen? I've just been doing some digging on the internet while he was talking.
Just got to get
So
to it.
what you're saying then is old school coins should be fine because they all had to be mined.
Not necessarily. Again, ETH, I was talking about this in the post on the Crypto Canada. Yeah, it is mined, but the problem is that when they held their initial ICO, Ethereum kept something like 9.9% of the funds to put towards business. So I was performing the ETH test because somebody asked specifically about ETH earlier, and I was thinking, okay, you know what, I should perform the test on ETH. And I am currently working on points 3 and 4 interchangeably as to whether or not the Ethereum organization is actually essential to its success. But the first 2 points of the securities test, ETH, for me, has failed. It has already failed points 1 and 2, and I am nearly the way there to proving points 3 and 4 have failed.
Okay, I'm just going to read this off real quick. This is as of yesterday, and you can find news where the SEC says, and all the way going back to 2018, the SEC saying that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities. You can find that. So this is as of yesterday. The SEC recently changed its 2018 decision, declaring that Bitcoin and Ethereum were never declared non-securities. According to the recent testimony in the SEC versus Ripple case, the regulator could open an investigation into Ethereum after ongoing litigation. They reiterate that further on down this article. This is on fxstreet.com, called SEC versus Ripple update. So, but this article just goes in to say, basically, I was reading it while you guys were talking, that it's probable, you can stop the screen if you want, it's probable that they're going to be going after ETH after this. So who knows?
Again, that's performing the test on Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is safe. Ethereum, again, by definition for securities, you don't have to, not all 4 have to be broken of those rules. So if one gets tapped, they have the ability to go after it. And whether or not that, again, there's enough proof or enough reasoning, that's again down to the lawyers and those people. But if one of the 4 points gets tapped, immediately it starts to go into investigation for it.
That's practically every token out there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So,
and there again are exceptions, and it's all down to how the company launched it and how they did their marketing. So again, most of this stuff, like on Ethereum's website, right in the first like top third of their front page, they declare it to be a currency that also has utility. So it immediately pulls it from a utility token or a Canadian Tire token. And while it's mined, they still had an ICO, still took profits that still went towards the organization. So we've tapped one of those points. So Ethereum is on the chopping block. Whether or not they can disprove that, like I said, I'm working on points 3 and 4 as to whether or not Ethereum organization is actually essential to the, or was essential at any point to the growth and functioning of the entire ecosystem, and whether or not the value of the investment contract has been affected by their involvement. So I'm working on that for myself, but again, I don't care about ETH. I hold it as gas. I don't hold it as an investment.
So do you think, Dave, that this is part of why the market, the price points have changed from what the original projections were? You're thinking other people outside of yourself have discovered this, and this is what the pullback in the price has been?
I mean, this problem has been out there for a while. I haven't really spoken about it. I've known just about accredited investor status for probably a year and a half personally. And it's always been something on the back of the mind. And the reason I'm bringing it up now is because other people are just like me, and I don't want anybody to lose out. So it's a case of we're getting close. People need to be made aware of this. We need to consider our positions and make our own decisions and assess our own risk tolerance. But it was really the reason I started talking about it again was specifically the BitBuy, whatever it was last week. They got tapped by the OSC. So that it's like, okay, it's starting to affect us more than Binance, and I think there was one other that got chewed out by the OSC. But now we're starting to see it more, which means Ontario isn't just going to be a follower. We're actually getting regulatory enforcement before the SEC has even made decisions. So whether or not Ontario, I don't think Ontario is going to be a follower. I think Ontario is going to be a leader, and I'm in Ontario, so I care. So
yeah, you got to look at Ontario though. They haven't made one good decision in the last couple of years. So
no. But that's the thing. It's like I want to be on the right side of history.
Well, if all nations come down on cryptocurrency, it's going to go back to where it was, which is underground. There'll be a dark web DEX, privacy coins. There you go.
And I think personally, like, again, I don't disagree with that at all. Like, I would love that. It makes everything we stand for when it comes to freedom. Like, that's exactly what we want and what we need. Like, I 100% agreement. The problem is if things like Monero are made to be something that cannot be, it's declared an unregulated security, whatever, it goes under, crypto demolishes, but we still find value. You and I still find value in Monero. We can transact between ourselves. If you want to buy my desk lamp there, sure, I'll take Monero for it. The problem is that none of the retail providers, grocery stores, none of them will be able to accept Monero. Maybe if you know the grocery store owner really well, he's your best buddy, maybe he's willing to take Monero for some of your groceries. The problem is that something derives value from your ability to spend it on something that has value. And between each other, yeah, we could decide that Monero has value for a particular barter transaction. But if nobody could take my Monero at stores, I wouldn't have Monero. Why would I do that? I need to buy groceries. I need to pay my car insurance. I need to pay my mortgage. Monero is worthless for the real world if it can only be used between barter transactions in an underground market that I have to hide. So that's why I think that's a problem.
Yeah, but that's cryptocurrency going back to its roots.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody originally used Bitcoin to buy stuff other than that guy that spent 10,000 Bitcoin on a pizza.
Yeah. And I mean, keeping that value or deriving that value also is a case of being able to, the value is derived from something in the real world. And the problem is if we take it entirely underground and there's no way for us to interface with the real world, like, okay, if you could find a fence who bought gold jewelry and melted it down into gold bars, who accepted Monero, where you could purchase a gold bar, which you could then take to a pawnbroker to then cash out into Canadian fiat to then be able to do that. There is a bridge, but it's going to be pretty damn hard to find. And how long is the only fence in town going to be in business?
Yeah. There's a lot of this that just makes me angry. I'm not angry at you, Dave. I'm just angry because, to your point, there was a part of this that, there was that piece where you thought, okay, this could be the whole crypto space could be that space for a lot of us to be able to dig ourselves out and give ourselves a head start into something even bigger than because for a lot of us, I don't think there isn't a single person that is on the show, on the panel today, or in the comments that probably hasn't had the shit kicked out of them in their life of some sort, and that the ability to, look at this as an option and a way out for thinking about the future, getting a chance to invest in the future. And what you're saying, I'm going to have to leave this conversation and really think about what you're saying, because what you're saying angers me to my core, because you go back to the point where are we just on earth to be manipulated by the 1% of people that have figured it all out?
It's not the 1%, it's the government. It's not the 1%.
But the government is all dictated by the 1%.
The one thing I would say is that everything Dave said makes entire sense.
Oh, totally.
It makes purely logical. But my only thing is, when has the government ever done anything logical in any of the financial space over the last 10 to 20 years? And someone brought up in the comments earlier, and I kind of agreed with them, the government's going to figure out how to tax this before they figure out how to limit us from transacting with it. Because who the hell in the world is going to burn trillions of dollars? That's never going to happen, right?
Well, so why would they get rid of the tax revenue?
It's never going to happen, right? So they're going to continue letting us have taxable events over and over and over again. So I'm not really worried about my own liquidity, but I'm now worried about what's going to happen come tax law, because everything he said makes sense. So they've got even stronger arm to come down on us with tax law. New tax law for unaccredited investors trading unregistered securities.
Right.
Because that's going to have to be a new tax law. So that's why I was saying everything he said makes sense, but I figure that they're going to be changing the law or creating a new law that works around unaccredited investors in cryptocurrency. Because how the hell do you burn that much money in tax revenue worldwide? Not to mention CNN was, they had something out the other day, it was maybe last week. The IRS was saying that after 2022, it will no longer be honor system, and that they're creating partnerships with crypto, whatever the hell, to know what you're doing regardless if you report it anyway. So it's this, to me, I'm not too worried about it, but I think that the taxes that are going to come down, maybe with unregistered securities in particular, that could be what burns you, in that you'll be able to trade it, but it'll almost be like gas fees on crack when it comes to the taxable event. That's kind of what I'm thinking is going to come down. I'm not worried about liquidating all my stuff or anything, or not having access, but I think the taxable event thing, especially in America, I mean, after 2021, when the governments realize how much they don't know about taxing crypto, then it's really going to kick off. And I think, off to the races for them.
That pushes it back into only the 1% being able to buy and sell crypto, because they can afford the tax, they can afford the gas fees.
Now, when it comes to that, like, my opinion on that, it's just like stocks today. Like, yeah, there may not be able to buy. I don't know so I don't track any stocks at all. But like, okay, Microsoft is at like $180 or something for a stock. So I mean, when it's a registered security, there's nothing wrong with us going out right now. You can, if you've want to use Got Wealth Simple on your phone, you can buy a Microsoft stock for $180 right now, because it's a registered security. So it's the massive gains being kept for the 1%ers, definitely, but it's not going to push us out of the market altogether. It's just getting everything together. And
well, then all these companies would end up being told that they have an X amount of time to register.
Obviously.
In theory, and potentially pay fines, which is one of the potential outcomes of Ripple and XRP, is that and again, how that will eventually affect token holders, whether or not a company can pay that fine. But it's also a double-edged sword. again, these rules, not to play the devil's advocate, but these rules are in place to protect us from scams. And things like there's something like 13 or 16,000 cryptos that exist, and a lot of them are just regular shitcoins, right? Like you get your Dogecoin's a joke. Like, yeah, people have made money. If you made $1 million off of Dogecoin, good for you. Like, I'm happy for you. But once these are in place, there will be no more new Dogecoins. And how many of those, I would not be surprised at all. Let's just say 13,000 tokens exist. Like, if literally 12,000+ of them get buried by the regulations, just gone. And while that represents a portion of value of the market, is it really true derived money? Like, other than just being a number on the screen, does it actually represent anything when it comes to what it contributes, other than being essentially a pump and dump or some random piece of junk? That's kind of it, where I think a lot of the ones that will immediately get burned are going to be those tokens, which to you and I, who are trying our best to get into serious investment, is probably not going to matter to us. So it's, again, it protects us. It will get rid of the bad actors. It will get rid of the things that contribute nothing to the system, while allowing the ones that are willing and able to go along with the regulatory authorities and actually create true purpose in crypto to flourish, because they're no longer going to be competing. Things like Ethereum, love it or hate it, there's lots of alternatives to Ethereum. I can't remember, you guys were talking about one a while ago where it's essentially the same thing. You can mint secondary, their version of ERC20 tokens, and they got super low gas fees, basically non-existent. We need to find an Ethereum, whichever one it is, that is a winner. Having 50 different Ethereums who are constantly competing for some portion of the market, we just need to pick a winner and start using it. Let's do this. We need NFTs for property deeds, for vehicle ownerships, to actually have all this. Let's just get it over with and burn the 50 versions of Ethereum that don't matter and pick one winner, whether that is Ethereum itself or something else. I want a winner. Like, even still, when all this happens, we're at 1/10 of 1% of the global population is involved in crypto, and maybe 1/5 of 1%. So even once all this happens, we're still going to be in the first percent of adopters, whether that's 0.5% or 0.7%. We've still got another 99% of growth to go as the rest of the world catches up. We're lucky enough that we're going to be here as regulations happen, where the people have not spent years researching this and learning. We've still got lots of opportunity. And we've got opportunity to be there on the legitimate side of things, in my opinion. So that is the upside to this, where we're still going to be in the first percent after the hell we could potentially go through, which I think is still a great opportunity.
You know who you would love, David?
Who's that?
The Canadian Bitcoiners, dude. You would love those two.
Never heard of them.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody send the link in the chat and I'll check them out. But again, it's, you get to play both sides of it. Again, like I personally want to be on the right side. I want to win. And if the only way I'm going to win is bowing to the 1% for now, not that I like it, not that I think it's right, and I don't want to be doing it, but if I can make $1 million following the rules versus running into a bunch of problems, I'm going to pick the $1 million, man. It's that simple.
I get what you're saying. Let's close it out with two updates, because I know everybody wants to hear an update on the metaverse tokens.
Well,
and also,
David.
Just a second, Tim. And we're not saying David has to go anywhere.
What?
Anyways, and then and Neil, there's been a bunch of people that wanted to find out about the horses.
Well, it's been a busy week. Like I honestly feel like I should jump on Ryan's show this week and just start annoying his viewers about all the NFT stuff I'm doing.
Honestly, I'm not big into like shitcoins and stuff, bro. But I'm really not. I'm warming a lot up to NFTs just because what you say is that I don't look at them as a shitcoin. I do look at them as a collectible or piece of art or whatever.
So go to my Twitter. I just changed my profile pic. I'm probably going to change it up every few days. It's one of the wizards I minted actually last Friday. So I did 2 runs and I've staked them all. So I've minted these NFTs and now I'm collecting orbs, which is the reward for staking them. They're still being minted. There's I think about a little under 1,000 left. I'm actually just waiting. Funny enough, Ascend and their hack. I sent a little bit of ETH over to buy some more, and it's been held up. It's been flagged, so I'm waiting on that to happen. So that happened on Saturday, and I just so I minted those, and I was been tweeting and trying to get involved in some winning or some prizes, and I actually won one. I won an elite Zabu rare coat color horse in a giveaway with a guy that I interacted with last week. So he sent that to my stable yesterday. Its name is Monsters Inc. and it's a
Monsters
Zabu.
Inc.
Yeah, which
That's
is like
fun.
my I don't have any because they're more expensive ones, and it's got all kinds of Nakamoto blood, so it's like a crazy horse for me to grab. And then I just got my Recur Pass, which I minted a couple weeks ago, and they just released it. And one of the ones I got it looks pretty rare. One category, it's in one of 2% of holders. The other one's 3%, and the other one's 5%. So I think it could be pretty valuable. So I did that one. And
looks like Soraya's got that. She's got a Recur Forever NFT as well. She thanked you for that.
Yeah, so I got two. I've got a coworker who just wants to get in and he missed on it. So I think I'm gonna sell him the one. And I've actually I sold another comic. I had 3 of the Spider-Man and Doc Octopus. So I'm everywhere. I've got a couple more drops. So. And I've really been like funneling all my money away from coins into NFTs. It's definitely becoming an obsession. So,
wow!
I thank Tim Perry, the guru, because I did get everything connected, and I've sent those horses back to my stable, so they're all home. They're no longer loose on the range. They're in the corral. They're at the ranch. So, and it's really awesome because. They were my the ones that I picked up to breed with, and then the one I just won is a male, who's done okay racing, but he's got some good blood. So it's, I feel like I'm gonna be like a bull run forever. Like I'm gonna be the guy, whenever this crash happens, being like, "We've hit the bottom," and then the next day, "We've hit the bottom," because I'm loving it. Like I'm having so much fun. And I've just been in Discord and for this Wizards NFT. So if anyone's got extra ETH, no joke, I got the guru to mint his first NFT and to stake it. The guru last week, I got the guy that would never get an NFT. He's actually got one. So if you're interested, check out. I just tweeted at the Wizard Collective. I'm really bullish on it. The art's pretty solid, a lot of unique features, but it's really the utility of the NFT. You can stake it in their orbs, which is their basically their rewards token. And there's going to be an opportunity. Anyone who has a wizard will get an apprentice in the future. And then if it has rare traits, you'll be able to mint and know what you're getting and things like that. So it's the whole thing, if you don't understand, I highly recommend you check it out. They've got 3 vaults where you can stake your wizards. And in the last few days, they've added a Bored Ape Yacht Club and a Cool Cat to the vaults. So these are pieces of art that I now have fractionalization ownership of. And it's really cool because these are things that I would never have the opportunity to get in on. That they're now in the vault that I'm staking orbs, and the value of that is what the rewards come from. So it's just something that I really I'd highly suggest checking out. If you stake it, it's only 0.06 ETH for one plus gas.
Interesting.
So, and I've actually bought one long term. I'm going to hold 3 of them, and I think they're going to be really big. They're going to go to my kids. Like I think this is a really big moment in what's going on with NFTs, and it's a DAO, so it's decentralized, and you're like, I highly recommend checking it out.
Nice. Well, we'll get an update from you next week. Hopefully you can show us some of these images. I just wanted to quickly have Candace, because I know she's done a lot of work on our metaverse picks and all that sort of jazz, and thought maybe we could have her bring us home on this, and then we'll wrap her up. Go ahead, Tim. Add to the stream.
Okay, everybody. So we've got our top 10 coins. I'm going to try to move fairly quickly this time, just because we are running a little bit low on time. So we will jump in right away with coin number 10. Coin number 10, it's a new one. It's called DeFi Kingdoms. Symbol on it is Jewel. They had a return of investment increase of 11.5% over the last week. They are also kind of unique because they're on the Harmony One platform. So it's a coin that you would get through Uniswap. They do gaming, farming, gardens. So you can actually earn some of their coin through gardening as well as staking. So there's quite a bit that this coin does. It has a lot of potential. It's still fairly low cap as well. So it's got some potential to definitely get some growth going. Number 9, another new coin, Victoria VR. Symbol is VR. They were up a whopping 42.8% over the last week. Keep in mind, that last week was pretty red in crypto, so that's kind of impressive. One thing interesting about Victoria VR is that they're going for a very realistic looking metaverse. So they use Unreal Engine. They've got VR Land, and they've got a heavy sort of lean towards discovery, education, entertainment. So they're definitely one to watch. At number 8, we have last week's number 6, OVR, fell 4.2% in your ROI. The last of our new coins coming in at number 7 is Neos Credits NCR, and they were up a whopping 63.5% over the last week.
Wow.
So definitely could have made some money there. They are on the Ethereum network. They're kind of interesting because they are a VR metaverse, but they coexist social experiences and virtual creation. So within Neos, you can build your own worlds. So you could build smaller little metaverses within this metaverse, and then they'll all interconnect. So it's an amazing idea. Definitely one to watch. And number 6, who was number 10 last week, is our old friend Axie Infinity. They were down 2.8%, but that's actually really good considering about 95% of the metaverse coins were down. Number 5, which was number 4 last week, my neighbor Alice, they fell 5.8%, but they're still looking good, and they still have a unique idea with the whole Farmville type feel to it. So definitely a coin to look at. Engine, which was number 2 last week, fell to number 4. They fell 10.9%. Still a coin that has so much potential, especially with its relationship to EFI, which is using the Polkadot network. Number 3 this week, which was number 1 last week, is RMRK. They fell 3.7%. Number 2, Sandbox. They fell 1.6%. They moved up one spot to number 2 from number 3. And that leaves our brand new number 1, Museum of Crypto Art.
Oh.
The Museum of Crypto Art, they moved up 1.6. They're definitely showing some definitely great growth. And I mean, they are a place to sort of highlight all of these NFTs. So there's just so much. I think there's so much to the Museum of Crypto Art. We'll have to see. Now, if the market rebounds, next week could be really, really interesting. Whoops. All right. Now, the top 5 stocks. So I did say I would add the American stocks this time, but the Canadian ETF MTAV fell from 2 to 5. And then Evolve Metaverse ETF Mesh fell from 1 to 4. So the remaining 3 are American stocks. So number 3 is an American metaverse ETF. It is the Round Hill Ball Metaverse ETF. It is Meta, META. I imagine Facebook is very jealous at their name. It's one of the reasons that I put this above the other 2 ETFs is just the fact that their name is Meta. I think some people who don't do their due diligence may invest into this one just based on that name alone.
Probably what they're hoping for.
Number 2, Unity Software. The ticker on Unity Software is 0. They basically create 3D projects, and they have also a 3D project development platform within there. So they're going to be making a lot of the objects that are going to become NFTs and are going to become part of the metaverse. So they're sort of a very big utility. That brings us to number 1. Number 1 is a company called Roblox, RBLX.
Yeah.
I've been asking my niece about this because it always bothers me how it's pumped. You know, everything that is crazy on YouTube, that's one of the stocks and I stuck away from it because it's pumped like crazy. And then I started looking into it a couple of weeks ago. I'm asking my niece, I'm like, do your friends do this? They're freaking obsessed with it. I've never seen it in action myself, but every kid I've ever known or ever heard of right now is all over Roblox.
I have one downstairs on Roblox right now.
Wow.
Dude. Now you can see why this is number 1. Now Roblox, they do have games, and their games are fully active. They've been running for more than a decade.
Yep.
So they've actually had a metaverse running for more than a decade. Think about that for a moment. There's also the option within it that you can actually create your own games and play those as well. So it just has so much utility. But
it kind of reminds me of I'm not going to say better at risk of offending people, but a newer, more modern version of almost Minecraft with your accessibility in the game. It almost seems like that. And Minecraft, as you guys know, did not die. It's simple. It'll go till the end of time, that game. So it makes Roblox, I'm starting to be really interested in it.
Absolutely. Now, not financial advice. However, if you are looking at getting the pro version of Wealthsimple, this might be a really good stock to put into that US account.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a really good one, Candace. Unity Software is good too. I like all of these. These are awesome.
Well, when I put that one down, I was like, I'm expecting at least 1 or 2 people to recognize Roblox.
Well, remember when I did my my thing on the metaverse or whatever, what was coming out? That was one of the ones that keeps coming up on the Facebook. That was one of the Facebook ads that I had.
Just a quick point about Sandbox. The Wizard Treasure Collective just announced a partnership and how you'll have access to their metaverse with a wizard character. FYI, go check it out.
Through Sandbox.
Yeah, go check it out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button too. Jeez, how have you not done it already?
Aw, you're so sweet. Listen,
Absolutely.
We're moving ourselves away up the ladder.
All right, and to close this out, 2 quick little things. I just want to show you what Bitcoin is doing right now, and then I will show you what ETH is doing at the same time, because Tim specifically asked for ETH last week.
Okay.
All right. So Bitcoin currently right now, it's in a descending triangle. You'll notice that it's a triangle because this line here is flat. So when this line is flat and it's descending, it usually means it will break towards the downside. In this case here, the market is so strange. I don't even think the TA is going to help us very much. Like, we've already got a little tiny bit of breaking towards the upside over here. So if I bring this in, you can sort of see we've already, I'm still in my draw function. We've already started to move across this line. So if we can hold the momentum that we picked up towards the end of today, because this is the momentum, this whole green bar here, this green candle, this is today. This is what happened.
Look, I think too, if we address, because I love what Candace just brought up there, considering that whole green candle was today, and the FOMC meeting, Fed Chair Powell was on for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, describing things. And quite honestly, if you guys are watching the indexes today, the second, maybe half an hour into it, boom, we recovered nicely. Actually, crypto started bouncing up. His vision, or what they think going forward, is actually the market's reacted really, really well.
What was his vision? What was his vision?
They're going to be tapering quite a bit faster. We knew that. He acknowledged all of the problems. It seemed that he gave a decent plan. I was tuning in and out of Meet Kevin while he had it live. A great resource for that stuff. But I was watching more of the markets, to be honest. I was watching just how they were reacting after his speech. Everything bounced back up. So it was really amazing to see that, because obviously we saw it on our stock side. Markets bounced at the end of the day, amazing spike. And then you look at that green candle for Bitcoin. Look at how big that green candle is. It's a whole channel, almost as if the TA mattered, right? And it does when you have these little things, because it bounced the second you hit that top of the channel. But we got that whole green candle today on the news. I'm thinking, I mean, I don't know what the futures are right now, but if we can keep this positive momentum going, there's not a heck of a lot of negative. There's no CPI data coming out for the rest of the year. We're hoping, I'm thinking maybe a lot of people have already got their tax loss harvesting stuff done. Maybe I could be wrong. Lots to come, though, obviously. I'm thinking good news. Candace, like, what are you thinking, though? Because, again, the market popped.
Well, absolutely. If you look at this red candle, this was this morning. So this red candle was this morning. It looked like we were about to break out according to the TA, which would have put us down to about 42K. But then all of the positive stuff came out of Powell's announcements today, and we just did a 180. We flew up and we broke through. We actually were up a little bit higher. We were all the way up at about 49.6 at one point. So it's, as long as the positive news continues, I think we're going to break out of this and we're going to buck the trend. Now, when we look at Ethereum, this kind of supports this. So with Ethereum, we actually have a downward wedge. These wedges like this actually normally will break to the upside, because they show that there's going to be a reversal, and that's exactly what we're getting on this. Now this here also, in this situation, if Powell, because this red candle right here, this is the morning, the green, this is the afternoon. So if Powell had not given good news, we probably would have actually broke against the TA and headed down, which could have been bad for Ethereum. But we got good news, and it just sort of goes to show that no matter how good your TA is, if you have a black swan event, and a black swan event doesn't have to be a negative one, it can completely change the game. And that's what we're looking at today. So it's looking very positive for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And of course, when they're both...
Candace, actually, I think it's fair to let everyone know too that these are, you can bring up the schedules for these announcements the months and months and months and months in advance, especially for day traders and stuff like that, swing traders. You can bring these announcements up, but no, I love it, Candace. This is, looking at that Bitcoin chart was nice. Looking at how ETH broke out of that channel, I think Papa Powell saved the damn day today. Midway through the day, I'm looking at all my stocks. They're all, iffy, flat, maybe down a little touch. People didn't know what to do this morning, for the most part, at least on my stocks. And then, boom, the second he starts talking, everything, crypto, stocks, equity, you name it, popped.
Well, let's just say this: Santa's going to be a little taller this year, because Santa's going to be sporting some Santa pumps.
So I've got TA as well. I do TA, and I really haven't done it much lately, but I thought you guys might touch on it. So instead of being the bad guy for the entire thing, I can show you macro for Bitcoin, what I found earlier, if you guys want.
Sure.
All right. It's always fun being the bad guy the whole episode. So you can pull up my screen whenever.
One sec, I just got to find you. No, that's Ryan. Where did you go?
I'm the one moving the yellow box.
Is that you? There you are. Okay.
You guys can see me?
Yep.
Perfect. So macro, going back, really, we're focusing starting kind of 2013 there. So I've got my blue box and my yellow box, and I've copied some bar patterns here for each of these different trends. And so kind of zooming in here to each of these patterns, I'm in logarithmic here for view, so it'll look different than some other charts. So taking a look at the previous trends and how we're kind of following them, we can actually see them kind of mirroring each other in how it's actually moving across. And so I've got some optimism here based on just previous patterns. Now, looking at the overall blue channel, we still have not tapped the top of the channel where we should have, as we have in the previous bull runs. So I do not actually think the bull run is anywhere near over. And I think we're way far out from the price that we should be getting. So taking a look here, there's some promising things. And you were talking, Candace, about potentially breaking down on Bitcoin just a little bit and going down to that kind of 42,000 level. And that's right where I'm seeing here, this yellow pattern, and I'll move it. If we take a look and line up right here, this hump and this hump immediately after. This is a weekly chart, but it brings us right up. And again, depending on how you line it up, even bringing to the kind of the bottom there and lining up the first hump, it brings us right to where we should be, touching the top of this channel. And at this particular price level, 376,000 in this particular range. Basically, if it hit 220 grand, you want to be cashing out. But you know, that would be, I don't own or trade Bitcoin, but that would be, you know, I like to know, because as soon as Bitcoin tops, the altcoin market likes to pop off. So depending on where you drag this to, over here, if I drag this hump down to here, it breaks the pattern and goes out of it, and we could even see it going in the worst case scenario, going up to kind of that level at the 220. If we focus on this hump here, bringing it to there, we can do that with it and kind of see where it's going to wind up again there. If we line up the tailing humps we got here, depending on where you put it, it all kind of winds up right in this area. So I'll move that out of the way. And so if we focus on the year before, or the years before that, the trend here, which again is not part of this channel, so this would be considered a weird situation. But if we focus on the blue ghost pattern, it's the same kind of deal where we see very similar humps to what we've experienced, and also mirrored patterns. It follows, it goes negative, it goes positive. So it's kind of like an opposing sine wave, really. So if we line up this bottom with this bottom, oops, right there, we again can see it really, it closely follows the previous trend and mirrors it. And again, it goes up and touches the blue pattern. So this could still potentially play out, maybe not in the same order. But again, if we drag this pattern and line up certain things, like again, this dip and hump there, and drag that to where we currently are at, again, it touches the top of the channel there. So all of these trends that we've seen in the past still are in play. It just may not be necessarily obvious to everyone. Maybe it was a slow breakout, but again, following very, very closely all the way up here, where it didn't go up and we had something happen, you know, April, where we were getting another whatever started. That was probably Delta started. So I could almost guarantee that's Delta right there. So, you know, we've still got some pretty positive trends that could play out. So I'm not completely destructive when it comes to crypto, just so everyone knows.
Right.
What does this new variant do to that chart?
I think that's really what we're seeing right here. I think that people have gotten depressed, people are broke, and that's really what we have seen over the past couple of weeks. I mean, that red candle right there, that's probably, you know, when Omicron started really raging, and while it doesn't seem that big compared to some of the other drops. So again, in May, I'm not sure what happened in May, but so anyway, so I think based on starting on TA, there's still a lot of room to grow. And again, we haven't finished this bull run, in my opinion. I mean, the chart you can just see from the basic channel, we're nowhere near where we were in the previous ones. And of course, we've hit resistance, we've had a lot of trouble. And again, in March, there's COVID right there, the outlier of the entire Bitcoin pattern. We can see where and how COVID affects us. That complete outlier. And so financial collapse because of it. Could this have been something that affected as soon as we hit this middle, you know, center line for the actual resistance lines, which it does tap and it gets to. So we are seeing effects, but I still think, based on speculation and what people expect out of it, you know, that $220,000 to $300,000 range is not out of the question. And again, once we hit that top, traditionally altcoin markets start to pop as people cash out Bitcoin, flip that into the altcoins to make their second round of profits. So, you know, if it were to play out how we had it before, let me see if I can actually get it back here. I mean, we would be seeing, again, if I just line up these yellow humps here with where we're at right now, going into this range, you know, February, we could see in February the top of the market for the Bitcoin market, and basically this whole area of February into March could be the top of the Bitcoin market, at which point we would be potentially expecting altcoin market going starting as of February, March, April. So there is some good news on the horizon when it comes to this. So chances are, you know, based on how regulations have been going, we may be able to, and hopefully if everything goes our way, we could catch all of our profits before regulations truly start rolling. So
we are seeing, though, a pretty decent downswing in volume.
yes,
So
and that is the thing.
So I don't know
And now
why
we can
we would
see
ever
here-
expect the upswing with the volume on a total downswing like that.
Well,
And
it's not
here
just
we're
stuff
seeing
going-
similar kind of volume levels right in this area before we start to
Okay.
have that growth again. And that's why I think we've had, it's still yeah, we're down, but we are still trending up. And we see this down here, this similar kind of level of volume
Yeah.
that we saw here, where technically we were down, but we were still trending up. These humps to these humps, even kind of, this one's a bit tighter, but still we've got the low volume before it really starts to pop off and actually grow. And that's why I think, again, this is all really, really simple TA, but when it comes down to it, we've got very similar patterns. We've got two completely different halving periods where we see bull runs that both put us into this area. We're both following the trends or mirroring them, which I still consider to be following. It's just the opposite of it. So, anyway, so that's my kind of positive opinion, where I think, like I said, this range of 218 to 376, give or take. I mean, like if I traded Bitcoin and it hit 220, I wouldn't risk waiting going up to 376. But if it hit that and you're holding Bitcoin, not financial advice, but I would be cashing out there, because that would be that range that I would expect us to fall in.
Nice.
And once the new quarter starts in January, there's going to be more volume. That's coming.
Yeah.
That's easy to see.
I was just curious, though, because it does seem
right?
exceptionally low now as opposed to even the last 3.5 years.
And even here, right in where we had, I don't know whether you consider that a top, but we can even see here a top, and this is going way back. So of course there wouldn't be as much trading volume just because there wasn't anybody here, but volume was like truly non-existent during
No, but
this
we're like
slight
matching. We're kind of matching the volume levels for, again, founding Bitcoin. That's what it's like. Because I mean, look, the last time it was down right where your mouse is, 2016, 2017, borderline no volume, but still so much more volume than we have right now.
down.
And then our volume now is literally matching when we first started this whole gig. It looks like on this chart.
And I'm kind of looking here at this area. This is pretty similar in actual bar height to here.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, and but again, we've had a new top set right there. That would have been a somewhat new top. I can't see the rest of the chart, but a somewhat new top. We've got a slight downtrend, a couple humps in there, and then the volume picks up as the bull run happens. Again, it's outside of the channel, but still, I can see this potentially playing out as every time we've had super low volume, shortly thereafter a bull run has followed. So super low volume, and that's my kind of reasoning.
Could the threat of regulation be hampering this and having Bitcoin be represented now what it is, as opposed to, I guess, theoretically what this algorithm is saying? Like, is this threat of what is hampering Bitcoin and Bitcoin volume? Even the Bitcoin ETH ratios off kilter. What's, in your opinion, dude? Because I'm probably not going to have too many chances to ask you questions, but like, what seriously is your opinion the biggest driver for this? This, I guess, lack of attention, lack of volume. I know it is still trending up, but
COVID. My full-time job is not ArkPlate. I run a retail computer and music store. So from the retail side of things, everyone is broke. And investment capital, we're talking, it would be bigger trading funds, hedge funds who would have really the money to do this. But the average person now, we're into coming up on 2 years, like 20, 21 months now of COVID. CERB ran out a long time ago. Jobs ran out. Everybody's unemployment is run out. Everyone is just piss broke. And so it's the same in every country where the United States printed, was it today or yesterday, $2.5 trillion. Like, it's insane. That's nearly 10% of their deficit. So in a single day. And I think the volume falling and the price falling is just because everyone is broke. And when people see a new top and they're broke and they said, okay, well, maybe it'll go to 300,000, but I'm going to take 60,000. Like, I'm just going to get out. I need the money. I really think the biggest driving factor, the problems we're seeing in the market, the lag in the price appreciation, really is that new investors don't exist because they don't have money to invest with.
You know how you were saying that altcoins pop off after the Bitcoin top?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, given the regulation stuff that you were literally just talking about that I'm absorbing right now. Again, big night for the whole crowd, and appreciate all that. That was good information. But are we not thinking that maybe half of these alts getting wiped out is the best thing to happen to Bitcoin ever? Potentially. So
and
I'm
that's
just
the thing.
wondering, because if Bitcoin does hit a top, in conjunction with SEC coming down on the alts, wouldn't that, because again, things are constantly changing. Who's to say alts will go up when Bitcoin hits a top, if there is the regulation? I'm wondering, do you think there's going to be a redistribution of cash?
I would probably think that there's going to be some form of redistribution, whether that's ours or the 1% is the question. But there's also one other thing that, again, brings taxation into this. We're 2 weeks from the end of the tax year. No one is going to want to sell their Bitcoin at whatever price right now. They're going to wait 17 days before they really seriously consider cashing it out. And I think this is why we can expect some kind of bull run, is more demand. They're letting the price fall because they're not cashing out. Nobody's like that. That's part of it. Like, it's the end of the tax year. You don't want to incur a taxable event, 15 days before you legally start to owe it to someone. So that's the thing. So I think really it's a combination of, again, being broke, being close to the end of the tax season, yeah, I mean, what you were talking about there. So there's just, a ton of different factors, but they all, I think, play in together.
Yeah. This was really very interesting. I'm all over the map with my emotions, and I wanted to thank you, Dave, for joining us tonight and putting so much time and effort into your research. I know that some people found this hard to stomach.
Again, I apologize for being the Debbie Downer and the devil's advocate. It sucks, but it's an unfortunate reality that we're going to face. And I would rather be the bad guy today who helps you prepare now than be the guy who didn't say anything and watches you potentially suffer when this happens. Like, don't think of this as depressing. Think of it, you've got a chance to reevaluate portfolios, everyone. Like, take a serious look at what you hold and do the best that you can. And now you've got to completely reevaluate your risk tolerance. That's what it is.
I will say this, you've got a hell of a lot of courage because of just the topic of discussion tonight. The FUD is all over the market, obviously, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I got a hell of a lot out of your securities chat. I've been feeling like that. I was looking forward to this tonight to hear about what your thoughts were. The test is a kind of rewatch for me so I can go over and actually screenshot all the stuff you brought up. Really freaking interesting. It's just, and the community needs to keep this in mind too. It's a variety of opinions, and that's the great thing about having David on here tonight too. Kind of bring us back into reality sometimes when we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves on some ideas. But I think everyone in the comments here knows that this is a touchy subject, but I think we definitely had to breach it. I'm glad David was here.
Yeah, I don't mind being the bad guy. I'll be the bad guy.
Let's be real about it too, folks, is the way that we do make educated decisions and do get well-rounded and versed in a topic is to have all types of good, bad, and ugly opinions. Yeah. Because if you don't, then you become one-sided and not open to anything and can get yourself into trouble. You need you need to hear the other side of the story in order to validate and compare what's right and what's wrong.
I was going to say, just because almost every single person watching this live stream is really big into unregistered securities, it may come across as really hard to listen to. But again, it was different information, and that was the benefit of information's power, right? Again, I thought it was, whether I'm worried about it or not is a different thing, but I did get a lot of information out of it. That's for sure.
It seems like, and sorry, Ken, I wasn't picking on you specifically, but what this does is, like, Saitama is it on paper, it's a great project, and it has a lot of community drive behind it. I did read up on the whole thing. I just didn't spend 60 seconds looking for flaws. I gave it an honest chance, and I performed the test on it. But
you know what I liked is your no BS test. Because that's kind of how I like to think of things, is it either fails or it passes. It's so black and white, you know what I mean? And now the rest of it is up to our own risk tolerance, basically. Not that it's good or bad or whatever, but look, what he said made perfect sense. I mean, it's obvious to me, XRP is a security or however you want. I mean, there's a million things. For instance, even Polkadot. For instance, I was looking at Binance today, and they allow you the option to vote on upgrades to their blockchain. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, holy shit. Okay. So everything I thought about is potentially falling under this. But again, then it's up. John Stone is a spammer on your channel, by the way. But just to let you know, to me, I kind of, what I got out of it, I'm not really worried about it, but it definitely gave me a serious amount to think about for sure.
Well, it's things like something that could potentially be, and again, I'll go back to Saitama with this. Again, not picking on you, but it's a case of maybe you had your sight set on 10 cents before. And is 10 cents the kind of price we would reach after the period of time where regulations have happened? Or are you now going to seriously consider 1 cent? And, you know, there's no reason to not be in something like Saitama that is an unregistered security right now. Make some money. That's awesome. Like, go for it. It's just a case of like, how long is this? Was this a 10-year hold up until we started this live stream 2.5 years ago? And has it gone from a 10-year hold plan to a 1 year or a 6-month plan, where everything that you may not necessarily want to be holding or wouldn't want to be holding in 5 years, you can now plan better to take true realizable profits? Because that's why we're here. We're not, I personally, I couldn't care what the token's name is or what it does. I'm here to make profit. That is why I'm here. Yes, there's cool things that come with crypto. At the end of the day, we're here to make money. Having brand loyalty or following a project is great. But if you're going to drive yourself into the ground with that loyalty to a particular token, because right now we know, and again, no offense, Saitama is an unregistered security. Done. It's as simple as that. I've tested it. That's the thing. If you can make some money, do it. Get the money, but now you can adjust your plans. The same thing goes for anybody else in the chat. If you've got other things where you perform the test now, tonight, tomorrow, next week, and you see that, figure out where a more realistic point to take profits is. Because holding it to infinity, thinking of it as a 10-year, 15-year project on something that is labeled an unregistered security, it is no longer a 10-year hold. It's that simple.
And let's just say this, actually, because I know we're leading on 2.5 hours now. I know we do have to cut it at some point. So let's just say this, exactly what he said. It's up to us. It doesn't matter who we have on this channel. CEO of fucking friggin' JP Morgan could be on here. It doesn't matter. It's up to us to do our own due diligence and make sure that we're comfortable with our risk tolerance in the current environment with the cash that we have available. Simple. And then we'd make our own decisions from there. But again, the information was amazing. I know that
it was really, really good.
Awesome.
And I think where I get myself frustrated is twofold. Number one, I looked at crypto as a way
out.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. That's why I'm feeling frustrated and upset, because I looked at it as a way out. Second thing, I also recognize that I deal with government entities day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. What you said and how they look at things in this black and white format, that is my world. That is what I live in every single day. So I'm like, that's why I got so upset about it, because I was like,
honestly, I'm not upset at all with the SEC or the OSC. I'm not upset with their rules or the format they're laid out. I think most of them, again, ignoring the 1% rule the world part of things and bowing to our glorious leaders, ignoring all that. I'm not upset with any of that. I'm okay with following the rules as long as I can make my profit to make my life better. I am upset with the companies that we invested in. We invested in companies that did not follow the rules that have clearly been laid out for decades. And again,
the precedent of common law, though, with respect to a common person, common law, that is applicable all across North America, Europe, whatever. I'm just wondering if too many common people made the same mistake and therefore nullifies the action with respect to the law.
Yeah,
because, you know what I mean? Just because, again, with the average crypto investor being so ignorant, really, in the grand scheme of things, let's talk about the retail trader, not people here, but like the average retail crypto trader being so ignorant, not even having the ability to acknowledge, like not knowing that they did break a rule, for instance. I'm just wondering if the lack of knowledge here, just being so broad, almost helps the holders of crypto. Because again, if giving us that window to actually learn and do something about it or give the companies fines, I just feel like the SEC is going to be dropping fines throughout the next 5 years.
Well, like if Dodge had been treated, if Dodge and the market had acted that way in its previous pump, think of all the people who lost untold, we'll call it across the industry, probably hundreds of millions of dollars on Doge. after the Elon tweets and all that kind of stuff. You could not get away with that if it was a stock. If it was under the jurisdiction of the SEC controlled security, you could still buy it and sell it, but that kind of crap wouldn't have happened. And I think the people who suffered because those regulations were not in place, again, it's a double-edged sword where you're not happy because you're not going to get the same kind of profit, but also I'm pretty damn happy because I wasn't one of the people in Doge who just lost their shirt. It's that simple. So, you know, it's going to help us in the long run. It's just, unfortunately, we are going to be the people directly suffering this because the companies did not follow the rules.
Let's end it on this, because again, we're at 2.5 hours here. Let's end it on this. Don't be a Dogecoin millionaire sitting on damn near $5 million of Doge and didn't know how to take profits, and now sitting on less than $1 million and is relying on a full-time job again. Don't be the Dogecoin millionaire, regardless of pain tolerance, risk, whatever. Be prepared to get in, get out, do whatever is best for you. But anyway,
no emotions.
Don't
no
exactly
emotions.
no emotions. Don't
No
be the Dogecoin
emotions.
millionaire.
Okay, I want to say thank you to Candace again for doing a great job with that metaverse. I'm sorry we had to rush. Really good. I loved it, and I've got a new stock pick. I'm going to look at that Roblox for sure, and maybe the one that was the symbol U. I forget the name of it.
Unity.
I wrote it down. Unity. And Neil, freaking love your horses and your enthusiasm about your NFTs.
Hit that like, hit that subscribe.
Oh, you're so sweet. And Ken, the freaking Oracle, thank you so much for joining us. And Ryan, as always, really, really appreciate you here tonight. And for everybody that stuck it out with us, 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for everything tonight. And yet again, thank you, Dave. Really, really appreciate it. Take
Big
care
time.
and have a good night. Talk to you
Bitcoin's
soon.
going to hit 300,000, everybody. I'm not a bad guy all the time. Have a good night.